Welcome to the RedBlue pod number 19. Today we will cover a lot of things. We also have our co-host. You can now present yourself for any new
Yep.
people that never have seen that podcast before.
Yep. Cool as always. You've seen our past episodes, which yeah, definitely recommend. Mainly the ones with the She-Hulk episodes, because that was such a fire show. We were giving great love to that. But okay, yeah. So this
Best
was supposed to be
intro.
yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, it was supposed to be yesterday at 9:30, but the power went out for me. But luckily, we have time to do it right now, so that's good. But yeah,
Th-
so,
Thank
how's
you
your day
very much
been?
for being there, man. Like yesterday, I was like, maybe he passed out, and if it's the case, maybe we will move to another day. But
Oh well, I did
it's still
pass
good.
out because it was like 10 o'clock and I realized the power wasn't coming on anytime soon, so I passed out. And then I woke up, and then about like 20 minutes after I woke up, it came on again at like around 5:30 my time.
Oh, oh. So, is it still good for you Mondays? Like we can move it to Tuesdays that time. It's also
Yeah.
works for me, but like
Oh,
I
well.
need the
I
time that
mean,
works for you as well. You know, like 9:30 is also working for me, but is it working for you? That's the thing.
no, 9:30 is usually no. They usually work for me again. Besides like Thursdays or Fridays, where I usually go to films that day with friends and hang out at at like a bar or something with them. Like, I don't really 9:30s usually work best, and since because I'm usually a night owl, but lately though, again, a lot of issues mentioned before last week, but and in backstage, but then also power yesterday, but
Yeah.
also I will, but yeah, my sleep schedule has been a little bit early, like recently, because there was this, yeah, basically there was this, I know you don't follow esports at all, but yeah, I follow like just this one specific esports that I'm really into, and basically they had like it's like the soccer World Cup equivalent, for throughout the month of October
Okay.
till like yeah till like the third till like November 3rd or 5th or something. So I base and they had the time zones be basically from around 12 o'clock noon to 8 p.m. Pacific time. So because of that, I made my schedule a little bit normal to that. Waking up like around 8 a.m. So now I'm just trying to, I guess you could call refuck it up a little bit, but just make it a little bit later, so then I'm not like tired by the time it's like 9:30. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I've been feeling that a bit recently, but yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, but yeah, it's still fine. But I mean,
Okay.
if it's not, then again, if by any chance like I have like an earlier schedule nowadays, then Tuesday at 2:30 would work perfectly. So it's really one or the other is
Okay.
perfect. It just
So
depends.
we stick to Mondays 9:30, and if something comes
Hmm.
up or if you pass out, we move it to Tuesday. That's fine
Yeah,
with
like
you?
that would work like perfectly. It's just
Okay.
I don't know if you have like other plans with like other things, because I
Nah.
feels kind of like harsh to like then cancel one time and then be like, ah, no, let's do the other. But
I'm not MSK first of all, and second, I do prioritize this podcast here because you make yourself available. So I that's like my priority. Like even if I had
okay.
something, I would rather do this with you than the other thing. Even if I had something, because first of all, you're a very nice guy, and I like this podcast here. So, like, you're a key element. You know, like this is my favorite stream of the week.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, like as I said, this takes priority over anything, and as long as it's Monday or Tuesday, it's fine.
Hmm.
It's working well for me. Like these are the best days because Tuesday is like a weird day where basically I have like 24-hour off because I worked 16 hours on Monday. So this means I have 24-hour off, so I can be there earlier and still be awake and full of energy, you know. So that's great. And Monday is also great because I still have energy after my 16 hours. Anyway, today Gotham season 2. That's the first topic. Now you said that you would need help to remember some stuff, so I will say
But
this:
yeah,
this season was a bit better than season one for me, at least. And I did like a lot the idea of having a 22 episode season divided in two story arc of 11 episodes each. I do think that was really really good. And
that was creative. Yeah.
the first half was amazing for me. It was a masterpiece. It was great. It was one of the best piece Gotham had so far, and right now I'm rewatching season four, and season four is great. So far, season four is my favorite, but season two first half was really strong. It was a great start, but the second story arc in the back half messed up everything so hard for so many reasons just because of one subplot. And this may refresh your memory. One subplot that brings back an issue we had in season one. Plot device character. You know,
Yay!
yeah.
Fuck me.
That was
Uh,
hands down the worst part of that season.
oh yeah, but
Like the the first half is basically Galavan doing a scheme to control Gotham and to kill Bruce, and he's basically the villain in the first half. And I did think it was great, and it was interesting how Selina was a great friend to Bruce, and she get put aside because Galavan thought the niece is like really big brain manipulation, like queen. That was interesting. I did like that story. I think that was among the
mm-hmm.
best storyline Bruce had in the first three seasons. In the fourth season, it's peak Bruce for me. But in the first three seasons, that story arc with Silver was great. Does this brings a new bell to you?
Yeah, sort of.
Like he is making his first friends, and Silver is just there to manipulate
Mm-hmm.
him into like selling his company to Galavan, so Galavan can basically steal Wayne Enterprise, and then Selena is
Yeah,
like,
like I think that's pretty creative to do like that, and that is very realistic.
and
If like this was in the real world.
yeah, and it was interesting because they do stuff we don't see often in, especially in more recent media. Uh, they use like woman appeal and like women are smart and Silver is smart and she's using her charm to get her way around like what women do, you know? Like some women are like that, like femme fatale and stuff. I think that kind of trope, it's not really a trope, but that kind of female character doesn't really exist anymore in recent days. So when you see one, you're like, it's cool to see it again. And it's used on a good way because this is a teenager just like Bruce. So this makes it more interesting because you're like, teenager at that age, they don't really have that big brain. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yep, I know what you mean. It's just the show is really I think it's more of just I don't know if you would call it issue, but I think it's just more me than the show. Honestly, at this point, like I don't think the show is necessarily doing anything terrible. I don't know if it's the type of show that I usually am into, so that
yeah,
I would want to watch, and I think that's the main reason why I didn't get too invested into the second season. But again, I like creative ideas like that they've done, and again, I hope like Matt Reeves and them do that really well with the police and everything in the one show they're doing
yeah,
for the Batman universe, but it's just again I like the characters and I like what they set up. I like the ideas, everything, especially even just from the very first episode in the intro with like the police interrogation. With the one guy holding the person hostage. It's like I like all these ideas they have on the table. I just think the execution and the writing it just leaves a lot to be desired. But
Yeah.
like if they just had, like some sort of just improvement of that, like the Batman level writing or Stargirl level writing for that, then it was just, and I would enjoy this quite a lot because everything else, the characters and like the tone and feel of it and everything it does a good job with it. But yeah, and I absolutely hated that plot twist.
Which plot
I
twist?
I the one you just mentioned, the second act. I wanted to gouge my eye out like Fish Mooney did in the first season.
Okay. First half for me was masterpiece level, but the second half just ruins everything for too many reasons. Like, it was hard for me to nitpick issues with the first half, and this is crazy because Gotham, as a show, like right now, I am rewatching the fourth season, and there's only a few moments where it got emotional for me, and when I had actual tears in my eyes because scenes and stuff. And one of the few moments, because it was a sad moment, is when Penguin loses his mother in season 2. That was one of the best episodes in the entire show for me because you can feel the impact that left. Even if she was like a supporting character from supporting character, like she was barely in, like in total she maybe had like 10 episodes in total, like in among 30, but you still feel the connection and you still feel what Penguin feel. I think that scene was really genius, and that was also to force Penguin into like going against Galavan. And I think this was great for me. I don't know how you felt about that whole plot with
With
Galavan.
Penguin and yeah, Galva. Uh, yeah, I was I mean, it was all right. I mean, what did you think of it again?
Well, I thought that was like Penguin Mother dying was emotional, and you can feel hatred, and you can feel like Penguin, like you can understand his motive, why he will try to have his revenge on Galavan. You know, like it's. I think it was well
Mm-hmm.
executed on that aspect because they give a good motive for Penguin to go after Galavan. And it was really sad to see like Penguin just losing his mother like that, like
Yeah,
the only person he really cared about, and the only person that really
yeah,
cared about him despite him doing wrong thing.
yeah. I mean, it was all right for me, but yeah, I'll be honest. Again, I just on paper it seems like a very good idea. I just like again the execution. I feel like there was a lot of like missed opportunity there to make the scenes feel impactful with it, and
Yeah.
also when it comes to the character Penguin and his mother or his parents dying in like other medium and comics and stuff, I've seen it. Honestly, I've seen it done better many times where I don't not really a fan of this. I'll be honest. Like I just might be just like a dumb thing to say just because like there's other adaptations of it that I like more that then means I don't like this or makes this bad, but it's just I don't know. I just can't. It's weird, I know, but whatever. That's what I kind of think, honestly.
No, that's fine. That's fine. And now I got another small issue in the first half, but that issue is more bleeding into the back half. Is
Mm-hmm.
Jim killing Galavan? Now, at some extent, I understand what they were doing. They were paying off Bruce saying like, if you're a hero, does this means you need to really stick to your rules, or you can bend them to be the hero? You know, I forgot how he placed it, but then one of Jim moral was the law and stuff, and always respecting the code. And by killing Gallivan, he bent that kind of flaw he had within himself. You know, so by killing Gallivan, I do think it was interesting on a payoff aspect with his exchange with Bruce, but it bothered me a lot because then they have the whole investigation, and then Jim end up in prison for another crime he didn't commit because of Nigma, and I'm like, that's really that bothers me a lot. And I will say this: I'm glad Penguin actually covered for Jim. That reveals some kind of bond they have, or well, a bond Penguin believe they have, and that was interesting. But here again, I really don't like the fact that this early in the show we already have that kind of storyline where Jim end up in prison at some point. I think it's too early for a TV show, and they all
Yeah, that should definitely be later on.
yeah and on top of that they also rush through that prison storyline, and I've seen other prison storyline in other TV shows, and I feel like every other TV shows did a prison storyline better.
Yeah,
And
that's exactly what I was gonna say. I've also seen those type of stuff done in like base
yeah,
better in every other one. With Jim and just or Bruce when he's older and just every other thing. It's just
yeah,
again that's honestly like another main core issue I just have with Gotham. It's just like it isn't
yeah,
terrible or anything. It's just in comparison to all the other versions with the writing and execution, it's at best kind of how would I say competent at best and safe. Really,
yeah.
just playing by the numbers. That's all I would really have to say. I don't know.
What could have been interesting to explore with the payoff for Bruce Line would be Jim being the one that beat down Galavan and Penguin shooting him down. That would still bend at some extent Jim morals because he doesn't beat up people, and usually he's all about the law, but he will let someone with him kill a powerless person. Do you know what I mean? Like, that could be a better payoff in my own opinion than just Jim
Mm-hmm.
shooting down the guy. Like, I'm like, if Jim is only witness, it's wrong. Don't get me twisted. It's wrong. Jim is like the ally of a killer, but at least he's not the one with the bloods in his hands this early in the show. You know, like that's just me. And even there, that episode was amazing. As I said, this issue bleeds into the back half and not really in the first half because I do think this episode left on some kind of impact. And you're like, wow, this happened, and it's like a shocking moment, and it's still like a good payoff for a line Bruce had earlier. So yeah, the back half is where the issues are bleeding like all over the place. Like I'm working on my video retrospective. It's like the trilogy, like other retrospective, and that's funny because when I
Yeah.
covered this back half in part two, I actually forgot to mention it, but I mentioned it in part 3 because in season 3 that comes back with other character. They just let out people from Arkham. It's ridiculous. That thing, you really need to suspend disbelief to 1000, and this bothers me because here's the thing. Gotham, yes, it's fiction, and yes, some aspect of it are grounded in their own world, not because it's Gotham. That's the reason. So sometimes I can say that's fine because it's Gotham. Like, it can be realistic in that world they showed us and told us it was. But in real life, it's clearly not. But they want me to suspend disbelief so much with that. Even within Gotham, just letting people out of Arkham because the plot needs them to be out.
Yeah, it's
This
like they didn't really do much anything
bother
interesting to just let them out.
this bother me. But I will be honest, Barbara and Penguin will both have good stuff after getting let out of Arkham. But the whole idea of just a institute like Arkham just letting people out after like 6 months, 7 months, when they killed people to end up there, it's ridiculous. It just doesn't make sense for me. And I will also go further with that kind of idea. Like in the first half, the start of the first half was great because the breakout of Arkham was made by villains, and they just let loose villains in the city, and that was interesting to see it at least once. And then you see like Jerome becoming like Joker number one, you know? And then he get killed off, and he spawned the idea. I did think in that first half, we didn't mention it, but I did think that was very interesting. Him dying in the front of the camera, like, created the wave of Joker people and like maniacs and stuff. That I did like that. But then in the back half, they just let loose people because the plot need them out. it's it's sad. Um, now,
Many plot conveniences.
yeah,
Just
now,
I know it's Arkham. I know it's like fucking. They're supposed to be like how do you say, like inept or whatever the word is. When it comes to like their fucking job, supposed to be kind of like bad at it, but it's like they're like, you couldn't have at least done like some creative scenes to of how they get out, you know.
yeah,
Even just something like having like some well written, you know, lines of dialogue with I'm sorry, who's the, again, I'm really bad at names, but like the one character from Stargirl, what's his name again? With the portals, I'd say.
with the portals,
Yeah.
Stargirl with the portals.
Yeah, from the he was, you know, from the eighth season, sorry, eighth episode. We watched.
Oh, the shade.
Yeah, sorry, bad at names, but yeah, again,
Yeah,
like
the
at
shade.
least do some like type of good write-in, like dialogue with like, you know, like we've seen from characters like the Shade and like Stargirl. You could have at least done that with like them and like a, you know, some prison guards or something before, you know, where they
Yeah,
get out.
yeah, yeah. I actually like what you're saying. So now, outside of people just going out of Arkham like they are free men now, another issue I had was the subplot with Penguin and his step family. I truly hated that step family. The father was amazing, however. I do like the father. The father liked his son regardless of his son past because he's deemed to be cured of his madness. And at that point, yes, he was cured, but then he was like thrown out like in the back bad path again because of that
Hmm.
stupid step family. Now,
Yeah.
this bothers me for many reasons. First of all, having this new penguin was interesting for me. And having this new penguin that is not about revenge or killing felt interesting and refreshing for a character that was like that for one season and a half at that point. I'm like, that's cool.
Hmm.
But then you force character into the story again just to put him back at that place at the end of the same season. You fix the character. Like, it's it's annoying for me because you're like, oh, he's on a new path. It's a new character. He will have new adventure. But no. We have jerks acting like piece of crap toward him, and they don't even feel like character. They're just a plot device, like the stepmother, the stepbrother, the stepsister, and that was annoying. Like, if I was in charge of this show, I would have just kept the father, and the stepfamily would be out of the picture. You don't bring them yet. You let that breed. You let Penguin have a new life. Maybe you send him back to Gotham after bonding with his father. And then in Gotham he can meet people that turn him evil in season 3. Because at some point, you know, he will be the villain. He will be the Penguin again. But rushing like 4 episodes in back to what he was at the start of the season, it's not good writing. It's just like, oh yeah, we are out of ideas. Let's bring him back where he was. It's it bothers me so much. The father, as I said, great character, and the step family, awful subplot. Like I was about to skip every scene with the step family at some point. I was like, these scenes are obnoxious. Like they are just there to fill time, so each episode is 43 minutes. They are just there to build up Penguin back as a villain. They don't have any good purpose. So that's my take. What's your take on that subplot?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like, there's nothing much to be said. I really didn't like it, and again, they had the step parents.
So
I honestly didn't even like the father. Honestly, I just didn't like them at all.
yeah, I enjoyed the father. Anyway, another issue I had: Ed, Nigma, motive to turn on Jim. I think the writing wasn't great on that. Uh, like the way they made Ed hating Jim didn't make sense for me because Jim was always somewhat good to Ed. I didn't feel like he had any disrespect toward Ed, and it felt really odd. Ed had some kind of conflict with Jim, and it feels like they wanted that conflict so only like Ed could frame Jim for murder and then send him to jail. That's all I felt with that storyline, and that bothered me a lot because they could have flipped some places around. Bullock was always a jerk to Ed, and it would have made sense if Ed hated Bullock. But no, they wanted Jim in jail, so Ed needed to twist his mind weird ways to like hate Jim and frame Jim instead of Bullock. That was basically an easy prey. Bullock is a great character, but he was a freaking a-hole toward Ed the entire time. Like most of his scene is laughing at Ed, and Jim even defends Ed many times. He's like, yeah, Bullock, don't you think you should be easier on Nigma? You know, do you know what I'm getting at?
Oh no, I do, and again, I I agree. Again, it's like him just turning on him like that with the writing. It was like, let me. What's a good comparison? It's like if the scene where it's like in season 3, just recently, and like I believe it was like episode 7 or something, where they start kind of where they feel sort of betrayed by Courtney because she did something. It's like the equivalent of like if there was no build up to that, and
Yeah,
it's like she did something just small, and then they're just like, well, we hate you now after everything
yeah,
prior. It's like that's the equivalent of that scene. It's like there was such low like effort of like placing yourselves in the character's shoes where it's actually realistic. It's just like, well, we have to. It's like the scene in Suicide Squad 2016 where it's like they're at the bar where there's just like, well, I guess this is the moment in the film where we're supposed to, get along and team up now and defeat the evil. That, because the screenwriters told us to. It's like that.
it's facts. You are spitting facts.
It just does not feel natural at all. It does not.
So, overall, is there anything else you would like to add about season 2 before we move to grade?
Uh, Honestly, no. Again, the characters to an extent with like, as in like the just visually like the designs they picked, for all of them, like and the potential for them and just being placed there, and then like the kind of tone and feel of the world. It's like that's all great. It's just everything else kind of ruins it for me. But
The
yeah,
writing is not always on point. Like sometimes the writing is good for some character, but sometimes we get stuff like Ed or the Step Family. it's all over the place, Gotham, for
Yeah,
me at
for the
least.
most part though, the writing is like the I would say the mediocre, not the terrible and not the good, but the mediocre to that kind of area of episodes that the Flash had. That's where I say the writing's kind of at with this.
Yeah, yeah. So, what would be the grade you would give to season 2?
Again, I'd give it probably like it's around a 5 out of 10 again. So yeah, the first one I believe I gave like around a 5.5. This
Yeah,
one around a 5. And it's just, I mean, the second half, let's just ignore that. Like, I'm sure when if you rewatch these, you'll just skip the second part, the
yeah,
second half. You'll just watch the first half.
yeah, because, like, for me, the first half was easily 9.5, 9.7 out of 10, but the back half is a generous, for me, 7. And because the back half do ruin the first half, I cannot average both half. I can only give a 7 to that season because the first half is amazing, but then it's unwatchable the back half. And the prison storyline, the wrong person is in jail, and the prison storyline only lasts for one episode. That bothered me so much, and it's the subplot with the step family. It's just, for me, it's a 7. Season 2 is a 7 because I cannot lie and say the first half was bad. I like the first half was great, but really what messed it up is the back half. The back half is really bad. Um, Anything else to add before we move to the Mummy?
No, that's about it. Just, yeah. Hopefully it gets better. I heard that after the first 3 seasons it improves. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Well, I can tell. I've seen the third season a few weeks ago, and I remember liking a lot of things in the third season, and there are still a few issues here and there, but the third season is much better than the second one, for me at least. And I think the team worked well. Some characters are still plot device and godly annoying, but they are more in the background, and the rest around is better than this, so you can still forgive some flaws here. But that's my take. Like, season 3 was really good, and so far with season 4, I'm having a blast. With season 4 so far, there was only one episode that I feel is unwatchable. That was the first episode of season 4. That I don't know what happened, but the writing was on the wall like the entire time with the first episode in season 4. But past that first episode in season 4, I think right now I'm like on episode 8 or 9, and we get some season 2 and 3 vibes, but the good parts of both seasons. That's why season 4 is so good for me, at least. Now, I don't know if they will mess it up because I forgot what happens in the back half of season 4. But so far, I am having a blast with season 4. It's the best season of the show so far, and by a lot. Because when I find issues with season 4 right now, it's nitpicks. It's like, I really dig deep into the episode to really find issues. Um, yeah, except for the first episode. The first episode was really bad.
okay. Well,
Season 3 overall was really good. I did like it a lot. It's no masterpiece, but it's a good season. If that can encourage you.
yeah. Well, how many seasons are there? 5.
Yeah, and 5 is shorter because they did cancel the show.
But was there a proper ending to it, or?
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cut off like a bit when you said
Yeah.
they
So
canceled it.
basically, they thought they had a full season with season 5, and the network said, yeah, instead of having 22 episodes, you got 13 or 12. You actually got 12. So they got 12 instead of 22. So they had enough time to do a proper ending, but their season 5 still didn't go the way they wanted because they got half a season instead of a full season. Because when they ended season 4, they thought they would still get like a full season order for season 5,
Mm-hmm.
but they still have somewhat of a watchable ending. I remember the ending, and I remember being disappointed on a lot of things in season 5, but I also remember enjoying a lot season 5 despite the flaws. The flaws. So I think season 4 is the best based on only what I remember. But I've seen the show like a long time ago, so season 5 I barely I only remember like bullet points here and there, and I wasn't as critical as right now, so that's another factor to factor in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like season 5 gets somewhat of a proper ending based on they they expected 22 but got 12 instead. So yeah, like yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's move on to the Mummy. But I do enjoy season 4 a lot. I will say this. The Mummy. We will start by you. What did you think of the Mummy?
Okay, so I'll start by saying, okay, the I've so on MSK streams at least I've talked about when it comes to like the MCU. I mean, well, we talked about with She-Hulk before, like what my type of idea for like comedies would be more visually, and then
Yeah,
I sent you that one video on maybe we'll like watch the trilogy, that at least that trilogy he did eventually, but then also Blazing Saddles, and MSK's told me, okay, well, you have issues with like the MCU and like more most like mainstream blockbuster type films these days, but and he asked me to like just what would you be your your style of like just it blockbuster type adventure films like this that you don't take too seriously. And yeah, so this is why I recommended this, because yeah, this is my type of film there when it comes to that. And it isn't perfect, like I want to give it like a 10 or anything,
yeah,
but yeah, but this is when it comes to just like an adventure blockbuster type of film, like this, that's like a journey from start to finish, and like a roller coaster. Like this is just like, in my opinion, like perfect, and it's just I grew up watching it, and I think this is, I believe, the film I've seen the most times in my life, because I've rewatched it so many times because it's just so enjoyable for me,
yeah,
and just the comedy and the characters and everything has like it's very reminiscent of like the type of films we used to get that we don't really get anymore.
yeah,
And this is the film that really made me love Brendan Fraser, and been wanting him to get make a comeback in Hollywood and get more roles, which he has now this year been doing, and last year too with Doom Patrol and stuff, and he has The Whale coming out this year as well, which is apparently his performance was so good in it that he might win the Oscar now. So we'll definitely, if your theater gets it or if it comes out digitally, then I'll definitely recommend that for one of the movie watches we can do.
that's good.
But yeah, I absolutely love this. Just this is my type of guilty pleasure film. Honestly, I
Yeah,
love it. What did you think about it though? I'm curious
I
if you think differently.
okay. I will
How
say this. After watching this movie, I actually remembered seeing this movie like 13 or 14 years ago. I can't really remember, but that's a
Mhm.
long time ago, and I enjoyed it because as a child you enjoy pretty much everything you watch. Like
Yeah.
as a teenager, you're like, yeah, that was a good movie, even if it's not that great. And I will say this: I was entertained, and um, my really big issues were at the start of the movies, but throughout the movie I still had a few issues here and there. So
Hmm.
I will say this. It's entertaining. It's entertaining. I liked it. I will start with my issues, and that issue I repeated a lot. That first one. Nobody can freaking aim except if the plot wants them to aim. Like shootout, firefights, they miss, they miss, they miss. But that's some kind of trope. Like in most movies, like it's really hard to make a firefight make sense. Like it's really challenging
It
and
is hard, and yeah, again, that's why I kind of describe this film like a roller coaster. You kind of just have to like go on the journey with the character, I would say. But
yeah.
I mean, I will say though, near the end of the film, and you know, with some fighting like that and shooting and sword battle, they made it more. I think they did a better job with it
Yeah,
later in the film.
I think at some point in one of the action sequence, the firefight made more sense because people less miss and they were more taking cover. So
I
I
believe it was on the I believe you talked about the ship
yeah
one. Yeah,
yeah
that yeah when it was fight. Yeah, that one was
that is
good
the
and that
best
made
one.
sense and was yeah that was misses hits all over the place. And for sword battles, it was near the end with like the skeletons and stuff. They
Yeah
know he was battling like yeah those two they did a great job with there, but yeah the
yeah
rest yeah I can definitely see your point there.
yeah. Like the when they were taking cover and stuff, that's actually a smart firefight, and we don't see that often when you think about it. Even Gotham, sometimes when they have firefight, they don't really take cover. Sometimes they do, but even there, sometimes it just feels off the way they take cover. Like they have enough time to dodge a bullet and take cover. You know, you're like, yeah, you really need to suspend disbelief to to follow that up. Um, Now the other issue I had pretty early in the movie. Oh my! So I remember this. The main character was running faster than the horse. The horse caught up in one shot of the camera, but then another shot, the horse was further behind. And I didn't need to replay that scene. I've seen the gap. And I was like,
Oh
they
yeah.
messed up the editing. And that was violent because I don't notice that kind of chase scene and that these fast paced, sometimes I won't notice. I just won't. So if I do notice that, something went wrong. Because I'm not that nitpicky, you know, but I don't pause the movie and rewind to make sure, you know? But I did notice something was off about that chase, and I was like, man, I hope the movie is not like that for the entire time. It will be really hard to watch. At least
Hmm.
that was the only point where Ors made no sense. So I guess that's fine. Um, yeah, I was really bothered by that. I'm telling you, I was like rolling my eyes. It's like, how can that guy run faster than the horse?
Hmm. Oh
Um,
yeah. Yeah, there are definitely continuity issues like that in the film. Now, I think honestly, the rate I did definitely notice that one he brought up, and there might have been other ones I believe, but I don't know if I noticed them. And I think the main reason why is because when it comes to this genre, honestly, I think all of them kind of have at least a bit of it. I have yet to really see like a film for some reason outside of like the very odd one that hasn't had like some odd continuity and editing issues like that at the odd time. Uh, Especially to edit in. And again, the intro you brought up, yeah, they definitely could have done a better job with the pacing and editing and all that in the intro. But I mean, I enjoyed it nonetheless. But yeah, like even in like the Indiana Jones films that people consider to be a masterpiece, like I've noticed definitely some issues there where I'm like, really. But at the very least, though, at least they didn't, make it sort of like what they did with like Prince of Persia and some Michael Bay films where it was so obnoxious and also it's just like the editing kind of like blinded you from actually enjoying the rest of it. So at least
so
it did decent.
now I will mention something else. plot armor on everyone that need to stay alive until the end. Like, plot armor is so heavy on everyone. Like, main character, side character, like, the only
Oh
death
yeah.
we really get is like self-sacrifice, and I did like these deaths a lot, and they had much more weight, not necessarily emotional, but like weight on the story and how you feel and remember this movie. Uh, so yeah, like plot armor is ridiculous in this movie. Like
Oh, definitely.
it's like Tweak on 2000. It's like yo, yeah, this one, yeah, it won't die. He's ang, ang, but his neck doesn't break, and
That's basically like, okay, so this is the comedic character, this is the main character, and this is the love interest. So they're all gonna survive, but everyone else, yeah, you're in danger. It's like, yeah,
But
yeah, I agree.
even the
Again,
others,
that's why
sometimes
I
they
said,
survive stuff they should not survive.
oh yeah, definitely. Again, this is why I say, my cup of tea film that you don't take seriously, because if you do take it a bit more seriously, yeah, which is again why it's definitely not a 10
I
at all, definitely not a masterpiece of a film.
I will jump some issues right now because we speak about plot armor. That plane crash at the end. Are you kidding me? Only the old man died. Man, only the old man died. Are you kidding me? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's
hmm
I was almost insulted. I was like, what am I watching? I'm like, the plane crash. A plane crash kills everyone. If the plane blows up, it blows up. You know what I'm talking
wait.
about, right?
Mm.
At the very end, like they were
Hold on
going
a minute.
toward,
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
like the old man was driving an airplane, and they were going after the big bad of the movie. Then the big bad creates some kind
Oh.
of face in the sand, a big storm, and the storm damaged the plane, and then the plane crashes, and
Okay.
only the old man dies.
Okay. So here's the thing. When you described that, I'm sorry, I was having some Vietnam flashbacks of that trailer of the Mummy with Tom Cruise. So, excuse me there. I was remembering how horrible that film was. I was just like, oh god. But yeah, okay. So yeah, that scene.
My, everyone should have died on the spot there. I'm
Yeah, I
telling you.
mean, well, I mean, she did like again, she did like stop him from doing so, and then I think killed him was the plane again, the crash. Probably like I don't know, did some like broke his neck or something. I think that was what killed him. I don't think it was like anything in the storm. So
They should have all died. A freaking
yeah, but
plane crashed.
well, I will tell you, it was a sandstorm though. So that's what kept them in the air still, even though they were blinded and having force there, and then it eventually crashed. But again, when it crashed though, it didn't crash like roughly enough. Like I think they landed like safe enough where it makes a bit more sense to me. But yeah, I guess, but I mean, there was some like physics issues there because it's like the director thought of like the sand as like a cushion. It's like no, if you crash in sand, you're done for. It's like cement. You take sand as like a cushion. It's like people who think that with like it's like, oh, I'll just land in the ocean if if I fall out of a plane. It's like,
It's cement.
yeah, it's like cement. Have fun.
Okay, now let's go back a bit in the movie. Now, I may be wrong on that. I'm not a scientist or anything, but I've heard a lot of things about desert and how in the desert during the day it's freaking hot, like 40 degrees and above, and like sometimes goes to 50. And by nighttime, it's the reverse. It's freaking cold, it's like minus 20, minus 30, and the only reason why there's no ice or things, it's because there's no water in the desert. Am I right on that? Chat, if you're
You
listening.
might be. Mm,
I've heard that in many places. I can't cite the
yeah.
sources as I said. I may be wrong because I'm not a scientist, but that's what I heard. That's like common belief about desert, like extreme
Hmm.
weather there. So, following that logic, um, usually you don't uh, travel in the desert during nighttime. Like during the day, like it's really rough, but it's possible. But during nighttime, you just don't consider it because it's too freaking cold, and you would freeze like to death. Yeah, you're right. There needs to be water for there to be ice. Okay, so maybe I'm right about that desert thing. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I like I don't live near any desert, but I'm pretty sure it's the way I said it. So people would not like they would hide somewhere like where they can generate eat enough so they can survive, but they would not like travel like that. And it feels like they have the same clothes the entire time, whether it's 40 or 50 degrees and minus I don't know how much it can go, but I know it can go really low in desert. So uh, if they wear the same clothes, they would die from freezing or they would die from overeating. One of the two. You know where I'm getting at right now?
Oh yeah, I know what you're getting at.
So that whole idea really bothers me so much because they don't seem to change any clothes and they travel night and day. It's like, okay, let's
Yeah.
suspend this belief again.
Yeah. With that, now I believe they did say something like the main character knew his way around the desert, and the route he was taking is like different than the rest of the desert, how it acts. So if we, take that into consideration, then maybe there's some like possibility there like that can be explained in that universe because of what they set up there. But it still feels like a bit of a cough out where it's like, okay, in case there's any like, things that don't make logical sense, then yeah, but you know, at least there's an explanation there, unlike a certain show we just talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, I could get behind it because you tried to make in some sense. So I will
Yeah.
look into if I got more ish. Oh yeah, the cohort character. I call out Gotham for all these times where they have plot device character. Let's be honest, that character is not a character; it is a plot device.
You mean like the antagonist?
Well, the guy that basically closed the door in front of Brendan Fraser at
Oh,
the start
okay.
of the movie, and the guy that
Well, I
basically
mean,
helps out the villain because the villain said he would spare his life or something.
here's the thing. I would say, like, if it was a character who was just its sole mission was to make sure the plot moves with like certain things, then sure. But his character stayed consistent the whole way through, and they didn't, with how he acted like that, and it wasn't important to the plot the whole time, and it was kind of like it was like a throwback to like the perfect, just like fucking shit antagonist, just like always causing shit for all the other characters. So that's why I was personally cool with it. But I do get if you mean like what you mean if you think of it like, like he was the reason why he ended up in that situation then where with the main characters again, and then that's he's also the reason why then he like he knew where all the other characters were at who took from the his chest or whatever the gold and everything. track them down and kill them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want to think of it that way, sure. But those were about the only two things I would say, though. And I mean, you could easily again, you could easily write like something different because I mean, with the tracking them down, all you could say is like, yeah, he knows where they're at. You know, he can and he knows who took them. Like that's all with the the main villain guy. That's all. You didn't have to write in that part, and then with the other same thing. So I don't think it was like. I don't think it really moved the plot around from like much at all from like what they would have done anyway. I think he was just he was just an added bonus. He didn't he could have been like not in the film and nothing really would have changed at all in the film if you think about it with like how the plot would have moved around without him with the basic writing. So unlike something that's a bit more crucial like Gotham and stuff with just like literally let in
Yeah.
like characters ended up in prison and then literally just like going out again for like somehow without like any explanation. So I mean that's what I think. I mean, what do you think?
Wow, that's Blood Device character. That was one of my dislikes, and it was entertaining. I will admit, he did brought some comic relief here and there.
I love the scene. I might have kids someday.
Yeah, like I will admit, sometimes I did crack a laugh and a smile on his scenes, but that character as a whole bothered me because he was just that plot device. He's like, yeah, you need to do this for the plot to happen. It's like, okay. Or he will do this and then the plot happens.
Yeah.
Like, if he didn't close the door in front of Brendan Fraser like the way he did,
Mm-hmm.
they would never have captured him. So, yeah,
Well, I mean,
that's the kind of issues.
I mean, it depends, like because where they closed the door at, I mean, they were still in trouble though for the most part. So it's like,
Yeah.
so they might have like followed them around, but it was because what happened was the sand thing scared them off, and then he was like in the so then he had to travel through the desert or whatnot, and then he got captured later on by some people, and that was kind of like what basically happened. But so I think either way in that situation, could have happened anyway, and then I think all we did really was just make sure like him being there that he closed the and getting the door shut on by him made it so they didn't go after any of the others. So
Yeah. So, I got a lot of likes. Like, it's a whole paragraph. It's big. I think among the suggestion you gave me, this movie was the movie I had the most likes about. Like, single scenes and sequence, and
mm-hmm.
I liked a lot. So despite my
Yeah,
issues,
again, there's
I
a
had
lot of
entertainment. Yeah.
issues I know, and like writing and everything, and plot holes. Like it's definitely like a film to turn your brain off a bit, but just out of all the turn your brain off popcorn flicks, though this, in my opinion, reigns supreme. Like one of the top tier, and my personal favorite for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah. So the action scenes are great despite people not being able to aim. The fight choreography, considering it's 1999, I do think it was well done because remember 1999, it's not the 2000. In that time, like they were
Well, yeah, and
still
especially in
new.
the '90s, like there was an issue with films in the '90s. They were all the fucking same.
Even
And they
even
have not and they've not aged well at all. 1990s
yeah,
films.
yeah, and I will go further with this. Early 2000 movies, I will give the biggest example I have in my mind: the Dark Knight trilogy from Nolan. The fight choreography is not that great. Let's be honest. You watch these movies for the stories
Oh
and the
yeah,
characters, not the fight scene.
yeah.
Like
I have a lot of issues with the
it's
Dark Knight trilogy. Like I think that is by far the most overrated trilogy in
yeah,
cinematic history.
yeah,
There are like the fight choreography sucked. The writing really wasn't good at all. Like
yeah,
and there was like it was very try hard, especially with the character Two-Face before, yeah, Harvey Dent before he turned into Two-Face. A lot of his lines and
Yeah.
stuff were just so try hard. Uh, again, there's a lot of issues in it, especially in Batman Begins. Although the cinematography was the best in that, and then The Dark Knight Rises was just a fucking mess from start to finish. But let's not talk about that. But yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
fight choreography, even early 2000s, sometimes they do struggle. So I want to praise the Mummy for giving us a somewhat good fight choreography despite aging. This movie is like 23 years old right now. It's as old as you, I think.
yeah.
I'm just a bit older than that movie.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. I was born in the same year, I believe, 1999 when it came out. So, but it came out probably earlier than October. So,
yeah, I was
yeah,
a little baby, 3 years old.
yeah. Also I will say any other mummy-related films to this, in this franchise, the specific one, no other like monster movie mummy type things. Yeah, the sequel, uh, to it, The Mummy Returns, I believe it's called, was decent. Definitely a lot of issues, but it was watchable, fun again. But I would give it like around a 4 or 5 out of 10 if you want to watch that on your free time. It's
Okay.
it's watchable and fun enough, but definitely a lot of issues. And then the prequel though, The Scorpion, came with Dwayne Johnson, total garbage. And then The Mummy 3 with like the zombie yetis, total garbage as well.
And then
And
the bad reboot.
yep, yeah. Oh yeah, and I believe that The Mummy 3, he fucking dies in that, Brendan Fraser. So I'm like, yeah, at least you took a, finally killed off one of the three characters just in a garbage one. Oh god.
I will say this: the female character is great. Like, she's a strong character that happens to be female. She is interesting. Like, she's doing stupid stuff. Like, she did read the book and she unleashed the bad guys. So she's not like that character that has no flaws. And even there, like, the first scene we get introduced to the girl, she is like clumsy. Like, she fall from a ladder and she make like entire pile of books falling apart, if you know what I mean. So the first few scenes with her, you realize she has flaws, uh which is very interesting. We need that more often in 2022, because I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of the movies, when they portray female, they all need to be that girl power moment. They all need to be Captain Marvel. They all need to be Wonder Woman. But even
Yeah.
there, they tend to forget that Wonder
Yeah.
Woman had flaws. So
And
she's
also,
no
I will
Mary
give
Sue.
credit to a film that now it's the same director who did Black Adam, which you enjoyed, so you might enjoy the film. But again, Jungle Cruise with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, it was a surprisingly solid and enjoyable, fun film, and it's one of the closer films. And even though I just thought it was all right, it's one of the closer films in recent years. Just came out, in 2021, that to the Mummy, and also the female character in that, and the closest thing to like Pirates of the Caribbean, with Emily Blunt's character. Definitely, like they say, she's honestly kind of identical to the character, female character, Rachel Wise in the Mummy. So might enjoy that if you ever watch it.
Yeah, now I will say this: in my big block of good things I liked about the Mummy, I lost the count of how many funny things I marked down. So this means I had a lot of laugh and smile throughout the entire movie. And, like, people should take example from that if they want to write comedy. Because this feels like more like a comedy than She-Hulk. I wanted to say that because She-Hulk, godly awful TV show. Anyway, yeah, I had fun watching uh, the Mummy. It was funny. um, Usually, I hate when movies are slow and they have bad pacing and we just see people traveling around. But I will be honest, in this movie, just watching them traveling on horses, the few moments we see them traveling, I was actually fine with it, despite like the suspension of disbelief because desert are cold during nighttime. You know, like outside of that, I did enjoy the traveling because we didn't add too much traveling around. That was the right amount, and I didn't feel like the pacing was taking any hit when they were like walking around. That like they wanted to show you they go from point A and point B, and they wanted to show it kind of fast. Because sometimes
Yeah.
they tell actors or people on set, don't go too fast. We need to take our time. But it's not the case in this movie. So when there are traveling scene, I'm fine with the traveling scenes.
Yeah,
So,
and you know why? Because they also made it interesting. They didn't just, again, the video I showed you how to do visual comedy, they actually made the scenes interesting while traveling and also added story to it. Just like, the example in that one video showed, instead of doing what She-Hulk does or other shitty films where it's just like, it just shows like air shots of like shit moving, of just like the buildings or vehicles moving with like some music.
we will also go back to our strong character that happens to be female. She's a freaking thief, bruh. Like 2022 writer, they're like, woman can't be wrong. They can't do wrong. But in that movie, she's a thief. She stole stuff, you know, like not in a
Yeah.
malicious way. Like she stole stuff she needed, but regardless, she did stole stuff. So that's another flaw within the character, and I need to praise that because they need to do such thing. And
Yeah, like no character was perfect in this. None.
yeah, even the main character, he was freaking selfish for most of the movie, and at the end, that's when he has the fight with the girl that he realized he was wrong to be that selfish. And I think it's the most rushed story arc for the main character I have ever seen, but it didn't bother me because it made sense based on the exchange they had. And it makes sense also
Hmm.
because he sees by himself if he doesn't do anything, like the beer he's drinking, the wine he's drinking will taste like shit, and he's like, yeah, it will end up affecting me if I don't do anything about that. So like he came from like I'm a big selfish stupid guy to like I want to save the world. And usually when they rush through things like that, it bothers me, but in this movie it felt organic and it worked well for me. And I think overall in this movie there's a lot of message of self-sacrifice for the greater good, because most of the people that die, as I mentioned earlier, these are people that chose to sacrifice themselves for the cause and the greater good, and that was great. And for once, a world-ending threat movie, like I felt something, and I when I was seeing a character dying, I felt something. I wasn't crying, but I felt something because I was like, man, that guy sacrificed himself for the greater good, you
Yeah.
know. And this is a strong message. It's much better than most movies that try to be smart with their message, or other movies that fail to be smart with their message, you know. So I think it's a strength of this movie. The message in this movie is well handled by competent writers. Um, the whole we need to rescue the girl. That kind of stuff doesn't exist anymore in 2022 because we cannot place girls in harm's way, you know. But this movie they took risk, you know, and I like that. And even if I didn't like the plane crash, I did like the plane scene overall before the crash. Um, the other guy, the one that wanted to kill Brendan Fraser at the start of the movie, but changed his mind because he could see he could gain from it. Uh, him unleashing Scarab and leading to his own death was very interesting as a punishment. Um, yeah, I think this movie was really good. And
Hmm.
anything else you would like to add?
Not really. Just again, this is such an enjoyable film for me. Definitely number one guilty pleasure ever. This and I mean, you could kind of call it a guilty pleasure. The one in my profile picture, which I would recommend, but it's in all
Oh my, no,
subtitles,
no, no.
so
Sorry, bro.
so
I'm not watching
yeah,
subtitle movie.
yeah. I mean, unless you're cool with the dub, but nah. Yeah, but I mean, it's sort of like is, but it's also sort of not. But mainly because it's a monster film. But anyway, yeah. For so my rating for this would probably I'd say around an 8 out of 10, which is very very high for me, and especially considering like some of the weaknesses and just the type of film it is, where I would rarely ever give films like these that high of a score unless it's something like something very special like Blade Runner 2047 or 49, whichever it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, because and especially because of nostalgic reasons, how many times, and this is probably the film I've watched the most times ever in my life, because and no matter what mood I'm in, I can put it on and it's just comfort for me. So yeah.
So, this is a weird one because I was like, at first, just by calculating my points I took out, I was giving it a 7.5. But then I was like, this movie was as entertaining for me and as good for me as a lot of 8 I previously gave. So I felt like giving 7.5 was unfair for it. So I was like, let's give it an 8. It deserves 8. So I actually agree with you. It deserves 8 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, and also I will say the there was one other, I believe, that I had in my mind, which I forgot, which I'll try to remember later. But it's a film that I don't think you'll be that into or will be your cup of tea. But it's a film where I just want just to see your reaction, because it'll be funny.
Okay.
It's funny,
You send me the
but
name.
ba-
That
yeah,
could be the
okay,
one for next
so
week.
yeah, so the one for next week, this will be the one for next week, unless I make a mistake with it. Because okay, I believe this is a French or French Canadian director, and
Yeah?
half of the film or over half of it is in English, but there is subtitles at points. But I believe they're all in French. But try to
Really?
check if it is. If actually, I'll go check it right now. One sec. Martyrs language.
I'm actually curious.
Yeah, because it's basically it's a kind of it's a disturbing horror film, and I don't know if it's the type of thing you'd be into, but it's a film I'm really into, and it's one of those films where I'm gonna recommend you if it is in French and English, because I just want to see what your reaction to it would be, because it's fun and funny. Okay, so yeah, it says it's in God, my PC's kind of lagging a bit. This is
So, I know we are still on
Yeah,
the
okay,
mummy
so
right
it's
now.
in French.
Okay,
Yes, it's
what
in
was it?
French. Yeah, it's France and Canada. So yeah, it's French and English. Okay, so this is the film Martyrs, but it's the 2008 film. 2008. I'll edit that. Do not watch the shitty remake. Yeah.
2008. Okay.
And then I do have so these ones there are others by this director, but I'm just going to recommend these ones, and also because they're similar. Because we just talked about the Mummy and Brendan Fraser and everything, and his other film that's going to come out in like December or something, The Whale, which will definitely watch. And with the buzz it's been getting, mainly with his performance.
Yeah.
But before that though, there are two films that I personally think are pretty amazing, and I don't know if you'll feel the same. We'll see. But they'll be the next ones after Murders that watch. So the next three streams, which are these ones, because they're pretty amazing films, but they're also films where they're very similar films where it's like he took two actors that were struggling at the time in their careers, Mickey Rourke and Natalie Portman, and made like films that are just based mainly on their performances. It like relies completely on their performances, just like Brendan Fraser in the film coming out this in December, The Whale. And yeah, he like turned them into like Oscar caliber performances, and
Really?
and the films, yes, and the films themselves are pretty amazing, and similar to that. And I really love the film, so I figured before that eventually comes out, how about we watch those for the next streams? That will be
Yeah.
interesting. So
The next
so
three
yeah,
streams
anyways,
are the next three names you just dropped.
yes,
That sounds great, man. Okay,
yeah. The director, by the way, called Darren Aronofsky. I don't know if you ever heard of his name.
actually no. So maybe he's
Yeah,
from France, probably. Because I'm
yeah.
not
No,
really into
I don't think
French
you would have.
cinema. I, the only few experience I had with French cinema, I cannot stand their humor. It's pathetic. I just don't get it. It's as bad as She-Hulk, to be honest. Like, it's not funny
Well,
what
I
France are
mean, with
doing.
French, when it comes to French cinema, I think yeah, what their dramas and their dark, disturbing ish films like Titan, or Titan, or however you call it, it came out like a year ago, and other films like that. I think that's their bread and butter when it comes to like more comedy
Yeah.
centered films, though. I definitely think they lack in a bit, but yeah, no, he's
Well,
American, but yeah, I figure you wouldn't know him because it's only mainly like film buffs that really like know his name. But he did do that one film, Requiem for a Dream. You might have heard of that.
yeah, I did heard of it. I did not
Have you ever
watch, but
watched it?
no, I did heard of
Hmm.
it, but I did not watch. No,
No, actually,
can
okay,
add it to the
actually,
list.
how about yeah, we'll do the next four streams like this. Also, I'm doing that in order of like release dates. His three films there.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
now, I mean the others, yeah, they're either not as it didn't get as much praise, where I don't know if you'll be into them really, or I don't think they would be your type of films, like. But I mean, if you're if you think you might be, then look up his filmography and see, like, for example, he did a film with like Jennifer Lawrence called Mother, and a lot of people thought it was a mess and like pretentious as fuck. Yeah, very pretentious. A lot of people said. I thought it was great, but yeah, I have a feeling that might not be your type of film though at all.
Just based
So
on the
that's why.
title, I'm not quite sure it's my type as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, anything else to add for the Mummy before we move on to Stargirl and the news about it? The news we did speak about it before the stream.
No, that's about it. But do you want to get into the news first before we get into the
Yeah,
episodes?
yeah, man. I will let you start with that news.
I'll say I'm not surprised, and yeah, again, with they so yeah, apparently they're not doing a season four. It's but again, at
Cancelled.
least they filmed. Yeah, at least they filmed and ended and everything for season three. It's just main issue why I was really hoping it wouldn't be the case is because like I'm cool if it ends on season three in one way, because again with the writing and just everything that it just out of the bloom happened to have for this season, like in comparison to season one and season two, it's just like it's so amazing that I'm honestly cool with it. End on a high note. Maybe don't
Yeah,
try to push your luck. But on another note, it just feels odd because like everything they've been doing throughout season three, like all the things they've been like doing in each episode, how they advertised and called season three in general, and just and the setup from season two, and like how impactful or like important certain like plot points would be in season three in comparison to how like in comparison to season 2 and season 1, where they more take like the back seat in a lot of episodes in season 3, and all the new characters introduced and stuff set up in season 3. It's just it feels a bit unnatural to really end
Yeah,
it without at least one more season. Like no matter how like fulfilling the thing they filmed for season 3 is at the end, it feels like a season that was made where there would have to at least be one season guaranteed after it. Like it would make like little sense, but
that's
I don't know.
interesting. I see where you're getting at with that, but I will say this. I don't 100% agree with what you said because I feel like one of the teams of that season is moving on. So what I do think is when they started writing this third season, they didn't know if they had a fourth season. They still had hopes. This is why they did left a few plot not really answered, and I don't think there will be. But I think overall they were like, let's try to like close the book and make a story about moving on in case we don't get pick up for fourth season. And this is the vibe I'm getting. This is. Do you hear me? Do you?
Oh yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
hear
yeah.
you.
Because
I'm
I
just
wasn't
muted right
sure. I
now.
wasn't sure with my Discord, but yeah. So it feels like um they kind of knew, but they were hoping otherwise, and that's the theme. It's about moving on and changing. Like when you really look into the dialogue and what they do, it's changing, and I think it's really sad because I like the show a lot, as you know it. This is my favorite comic book TV show. It's handled by good writers, and it's good enough for me to really want to have comics of my own. And trust me, I already said it in past streams. In 2023, I will start buying some comics, and I will start with Stargirl um, comics because this is a TV show that really sold me the idea of comic book being interesting. Like, as much as I like comic book adaptation, I didn't really care enough. I'm into manga, but I wasn't really like interested by comic books. But then I'm like, Stargirl was so good, and I'm really curious to see if they really adapted very well the source material, or if they did not, then they respected the source of material. In both cases, I will be fine with more Stargirl material. So this show is really good, and I really want to be optimistic with DC because DC overall I think is has more potential and is more interesting
Yeah,
than Marvel.
yeah.
Um,
Well, they definitely have more potential and are more interesting with their characters and how they do things. Like again, not every film and every character, but for the most part, with how Kevin Feige and them do things, it's literally, especially in this phase, it's literally just like it's like just it's like theater comedic acts where it's just like instead of actually trying to make like art, it's just like I'm sorry, they're right. It is theme park rides,
yeah,
at least what
yeah,
the MCU does. It's like you look at something like, even though it wasn't absolutely perfect, and I do have some issues, like like mainly Matt Reeves. I don't think his camera movement, or how he films certain shots and stuff, is too great. I think it's mainly his cinematographer that really carries him during a lot of that, but in those films. But for the most part though, yeah, it's like you watch something like the Batman, it's like you can see like the ceiling is, up in the, like it could be a masterpiece. Like there's no like ceiling to it. It's like, and like that you can tell like they were really actually, trying to make something artistic and everything and
yeah,
surreal. But then you watch something like fucking Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's just like it's literally just like a theater comedic act. It's like a school play, and with people just like like looking straight at the audience and then like making jokes like haha. It's like, and then not caring about like certain stuff you do with films, and it's just like it's just there to like entertain theater goers and fans like that, but and the have like a universe that's safely going that they keep pushing through. But when it comes to the actual like quality of films, like it's just
Yeah.
no. I'm sorry. Like the
Yes.
best would probably be like I don't know maybe the first Iron Man, Guardians 1 maybe, uh Civil War maybe. I don't know what their best would be, but either way, like
I like
fucking
Winter
the.
Soldier. I like most of Phase 1 and 2.
No, I like Winter Soldier as well. I do think it's a bit overrated in some
Yeah.
areas, though. That people don't. There are some things that people don't bring up that it did kind of not too well at. Mainly, like that was they should not have done that ending. He should not have met up with her. That ruined the ending of the first film. I'm
Yeah.
doing that,
Yeah.
but yeah.
So I said that I say that because Stargirl for me is peak DC, and it's sad to
Hmm.
see it go like that, getting canceled like that. Like I could understand at some extent Warner wants everything to be under the same overall, and I could understand, but maybe wait a little bit more instead of just cutting through shows like that. Because will you be able to beat Stargirl? I really want to like you, DC, but it will be really hard for me to accept a new Stargirl if they make a new Stargirl because they canceled the one I liked. And if they do end up making a good one after that, I will be really grateful. I will be like, okay, maybe the canceled one. Okay, maybe I give it a pass because the new one is good, but it still bothers me so much because they don't have regards for the fans, they don't have regards for the actors involved, the writers, pretty much everyone that was working on the Stargirl TV show, except if they are working on a reboot, which I don't think is the case. They all lost their job and they needed to look around and find new jobs. So it's disrespectful for everyone making the show and everyone following and watching the show. And I will go further with this. The CW as a network, what are they doing? Like their investigation, like their viewer are like average 50 years old stuff. I think it's stupid and I don't think it makes any sense. But hey, it's a corporation that don't really have any touch. They are out of touch. I will say it. So Stargirl was great, and it proved, like anti woke people, they are wrong sometimes, and like modern movies and TV shows can still adapt a character that happens to be female. Stargirl is the proof that you can write competent female character, and like every character in this show is well written. Every character in this show have purpose, flaws. Every character feel like characters. They don't feel like, oh yeah, that's just the writer insert. And it's really sad because will we get another GSA like type show as good as this one with a female lead character? Do you know what I mean? Like I do think Stargirl as a TV show did give justice to all of these female superhero the same way Wonder Woman did in 2017. Not the sequel. The sequel is trash, but I do think Stargirl did brought the the quality we needed for female superhero. And I say that as someone that really, really tried his best to like Supergirl. Supergirl is bad. And I know it. It's my guilty pleasure. When I will rewatch it, I will know how bad this will be. And I will know there's only one amazing season in the sixth season we got. With Stargirl, 3 seasons. And this
Hmm.
is 39 episode. And I
God, it's
I I will enjoy rewatching Stargirl and to say proper goodbye to Stargirl, just like any other retrospective I did. I plan on making a retrospective on Stargirl as a TV show. Once the season is over, I will rewatch all three seasons and make a new video that group all three seasons, and like on our stream after season three will end, we could do just like Shio. We could cover the entire season, and in that stream we could also link we could link some kind of thoughts on the overall show, because the show will be ended basically at the end of this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
basically.
and it's really sad to see it go.
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
this is probably this is the best CW show, and this is, and I like I do like Doom Patrol and Peacemaker more, but besides that, this is, I would say, is the best show. And again, like, just this last season is just amazing. It's just, it's unfortunate they have to cancel it right when it like reached its
it's
peak,
peak.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, also I thought more about like what you said about about what the season's about, and that's why you're okay with it, because the writers might have like knew that in advance and decided make a more proper ending. And it's like, I'm thinking about it more, and it's like, that makes sense, especially like after again, we haven't talked about the episodes yet, but especially episode 9, like, I think really, and well, both episodes, just with the Shade and his grandparent. I think that really
Yeah.
you know
Closure.
like yeah, like, it's definitely, because in the other seasons we saw that, with many villains, and then them like taking it to the going full villain mode, and then just causing havoc and wreck. But then we see it we see it done in season 3, and it's like, now it's like they've learned. It's like they're learning their lessons to now just let all this shit go,
Yeah.
just stop. So I'm understanding it more. It's just, I still think, just like how they set up the season and certain things they're doing, like they could have I don't know, could have maybe done with one more season, but really padded out a bit more. But yeah, for I get what you're saying, though, for the most part. I do.
So this season, I have a blast so far. It's like, among all of the shows that lasted for more than 3 seasons, I think this is my favorite third season I've seen. And I've seen a lot of shows, man. Even non-comic book stuff. I've seen a lot of shows, and like usually like third season, sometimes it goes downfall there, but sometimes it start to get good, But I don't remember any third season as good as this one. Like, in my mind right now, without thinking too much, I think of Black Lightning and Supergirl being the top third season on TV shows, at least comic book. These are really, really strong seasons. These are amazing seasons. Legion had a good ending, but I don't remember if I liked it as much as, let's see, Black Lightning third season or Supergirl third season. So when I see Stargirl third season like that, I'm like, man, I'm having it. I'm having a great trip. And sometime at the end of episode, just like episode 8 and 9, I had my head spinning around thinking about theories and getting excited to see what happened next with next episode. How will they end everything? I don't remember being that excited before about seeing the rest, Like, that season, it's just a masterpiece for me. So it's really sad to see it go, but what can we do? They won't renew it even if we beg them. They don't care about the fans.
Yeah.
They don't care
Yep.
about the staff. So now the big cancel talk, I think, is over. Except if you'd like to add something else before we move on to both episode reviews.
Yeah, that's about it. But yeah. So for the episodes, yeah. Well, the first thing I'll say is, I just, with both episodes, yeah, I wanted all the characters I wanted to learn more about, or like get more fulfillment out of, that they were teasing throughout the other episodes. Yeah, that was just it was all the episode just episodes of episodes 8 and 9. So that's one reason I really love these. Like, for me, these both of these episodes were just almost like if not masterpieces. I really loved both of these. Now there was one issue I had with two issues. One's just small issue I had with each of them. In episode 8, again, just with that type of stuff they tried doing, like with the shade and or and him there, and then and sorry, what's his name again? The guy who they were trying to help. I'm bad with names.
The guy with the monster inside of him.
Yeah,
I don't even know his name. I will be honest.
yeah,
Jenny brother.
yeah.
We will
Jenny's
call
brother.
Jenny
Yeah,
brother.
it was something with like a T, like Tommy or
Todd.
something.
Todd. Todd.
Oh, Todd. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Now, I have seen that stuff done before in other things, and
Yeah.
there were kind of two parts to it, so I wouldn't say rushed, but there were some elements of it where it's like it was a bit of like I would say like a cough out like resolution to an extent. Like they could have done more interesting like things and had more like interesting character conversation and then feuds before finally resolving the issue during those sequences. Just like the same issues I kind of had with Moon Knight throughout the whole
Yeah.
season. And I have seen that stuff done before better, but although the first two ones with his with the with and I'm bad with names. I just remembered it. The gambler, I believe his name
The
was, right.
gambler. Yeah. The
Yeah,
guy that
yeah,
got
yeah.
killed.
And then his fodder. Those first two ones were, and then even the ones were later on. Those were excellent. But yeah, and then for the other tiny issue I had, which was in the other episode, I just feel like after it's gonna be hard to make a little bit more sense of like to have a little bit more of a resolution to the whole thing with his with the grandparents after they killed that one guy. Like it like I didn't mind that, or I did see that coming, that, or they would no, she would want to, but then he just like barely leaves, sort of like like the first episode with the gambler and the shade having that conversation.
Yeah.
But where he wouldn't forgive him. So but I mean but killing him though, I mean, but then trying to do what they're trying to do now, I mean, it would make more sense if they had more episodes or more time. I think it's going to be hard to, like, I don't know, like after you do that now, it's like I don't know what they have in store, but it's just it's a little like, I don't know, it's not really a flaw, but it's just a little weird thing
Yeah.
I have there. But otherwise, I love these episodes, these two,
So
yeah.
I suggest to start with episode 8, and then we will cover
Yeah,
9.
definitely. Episode 8. Yeah. Again, I love the sequences they did, mainly.
Look,
Especially the black and white style there, and the cinematography was pretty damn good as well.
that was one of my favorite episodes in the entire show. That
Yeah.
was probably as good as the first episode this season. So I'm torn apart. I don't know which one I like more, but I do think episode 8 did bring something like really good, appealing. I had no issue. I had no issue. I tried to dig deep as usual, and I didn't find any issue with that episode. And I will say this. Remember in season 7, in episode 7, I should say. In episode 7, I was basically saying, yeah, Todd is gay, and I hope they will use that smart and not just throw it there to tell you he is gay. And I hope they will do something smart about it. And episode 8, it's basically one of the reasons why he is turning into that monster. It's because he is rejected, and that reject is also causing him bad flashback about his father and his relationship with his father. And I think that was interesting. I know it's a trope, I know it's cliche, but at least it had a reason to be there. It was part of the character. because it was needed to be part of the character. It wasn't like uh, exposition or diversity for the sake of diversity. It had meaning to the plot and the character. So this is what other movies and TV shows should take example on if they want diversity in what they do, because this is good diversity. It's not just for the sake of it. It doesn't harm diversity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry. If I'm not responding right away, it's because I mute myself, and then it's like I'm listening to you talk. I'm on like another tab, like trying to do something else quickly or like research something about the episode
All
to
good.
refresh my memory, and then I have to. My computer's slow, so it takes a little bit to then unmute to go back.
All
But
good.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't just like a cough out again with that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. Now I have a lot of likes. That episode is far away, man, but I'll try my best. Uh, all the scene with Shade and Pat. Uh, like we discovered that Pat didn't have the best relationship with his father, and he kind of regrets not really spending enough time with his father because of that weird relationship he had. And this feel real because a lot of relationship father and son are not that great, because we are not the best men. Let's be honest, we are not the best people with feelings and stuff. Like us, we will hit each other. We will like we won't hold grudges. You know what I mean? Like women, they will always speak about feeling. They will always um, like old grudges, if you know what I mean. But man, we just cannot. Well, we express our emotion very differently. So father and son relationship are not always great, because not all father can say I love you, my son, and sometimes it may sound weird coming from a father. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not in our bones or our blood. And some men are easier with their feelings depending on how they are raised and the kind of media they consume. Some men can be more in touch with their feelings, and others
Mhm.
they can't. So it feels human, you know,
Yeah.
and it feels real. So when you write characters like that, and characters relationship, it makes your show better because you prove you understand people uh, the right way, you know. And we have two examples in that episode of bad fathers, Todd Father and Pat Father. And this also circled back to Pat's speech. We need to be example for our kids, because that tells us that he doesn't want to repeat what his father did, and he is scared to repeat it with his own son, which makes sense. And this is good writing. I like that a lot because I can relate a lot with both, like his relationship toward his father, and like his relationship toward his son. Like he doesn't want to repeat that, and it's just great writing, and that feels like a good father, you know. And not every show wants to depict good father. Like usually some shows like to trash men, so they will just depict bad fatherhood. But here we have example of bad fatherhood, but also example of good fatherhood, like Pat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I completely agree.
Uh,
I will say, do you think they could have done more scenes though with Todd, like with his visions of his father, or do you think it would have been a bit repetitive? Do you think you liked the amount they did?
to be honest, I didn't need more because it was crystal clear, and the only scene we had left enough impact. And I do think if they added more, it would be repetitive, just like what you said. And I also think
Yeah.
the runtime was lower, so I'm fine with some episode being shorter, as I said earlier, as long as your scene
Hmm.
marks the point it wants to mark. I'm fine with it. And Todd is like supporting character. He's not even like main cast. He's supporting character. So I'm fine if he get bits of material. He doesn't need more because that's for the other character. I'm fine if other character can shine. Like that episode was had much more to offer to Shade and Pat, and I like that because I think they had enough scenes, and they're seen in the Shadow Realm, the Shadow World. These were amazing. We also get to know more about the Shade and why he's more of a great character, and it's genius. Like great
Yes.
character like that are more often in Asian media, like manga or Japanese or Chinese movies. You know what I mean? Like they have more
Oh yeah.
great character than us. So when we get to see like uh East Western like us, I think we are Western. I think
Yeah.
Western
Yeah.
when Western media have more great character, you can feel it, and they feel good, and they are well written usually. So
Yeah.
the entire relationship with Shade and his sister he lost, and him not being able to do anything and feeling powerless,
Hmm.
it felt real and sad, man. I got emotion there, and we could see like a difference between Pat and Shade. Pat had easier time dealing with that and moving on, and Shade,
And that's kind of why he hides it, and acts kind of the way he does. He doesn't want to like. He doesn't like. And, I do know people like honestly, Jaded's kind of like one of those people. We've seen on streams. He kind of like just he doesn't like to think or talk about emotions. He kind of just
yeah, that's a
and I
man.
and I understand it. Jesus.
That's a
Yeah, but
man.
I mean, yeah, yeah. In general, yeah, and can't
Manly
extend with
men.
all of us. Yeah.
And that's
So
fine
so
having
yeah,
these. It's not wrong, but Hollywood sometimes they want to tell us it's wrong. But here, even if they tell us Shade, it's not the right way, but like it's hard to say, but the message here, it's not to preach. It's out of goodwill for the Shade,
yeah.
and
I
sometimes
think they did a great job with it. Yeah, and honestly, they could have easily fucked it up with the Shade by doing that stuff and giving him that backstory. Like they could have easily messed up the scenes, but they didn't.
they could have gone in a way they preach at you like She-Hulk writers. I always bring She-Hulk writers because these are clearly
Yeah,
rock bottom.
it's the new yeah, it's the new low for shows. So yeah, they
So
give it for every example.
when they want to get message through, they preach at you. They tell you it's wrong. You need to change. And when you look at Stargirl, it tells you it it's normal, but it's also not great. But you can remain there. Like if you want to stay like that if you want to. But the best thing would be to move on. Do you know what I mean by there? Like they give some kind of choice. They tell you it's wrong, but do it if you want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean
Like
for
like
sure.
they don't force change. They don't preach at you. They tell you it's wrong, and then they move on, and they say you can move on with me, Pat. Like when Pat was giving his hand to
Oh,
Shade, come with me. You can follow my footstep. You can be with me, or you can stay there. And
exactly. Now, if I would could say one tiny thing they could have done maybe a bit better with all those scenes again is I do think like the lines, not for all of them, like again the scene with his father, I think is honestly very accurate, and I can say from experience with some certain things, but I mean with other things though, again the one with Todd, and then also the one near the end when when they're escaping the place for good, him and Pat or whatnot. I do think the line right, and like it's a little bit unrealistic at than what a character or a person like that would say in real life. In that certain, I
Uh,
know every person's different, but just usually it's kind of unrealistic. It goes a little bit differently, but that's my would be my only thing
um,
about it if I had to say one.
to be honest, it didn't bother me. Like I didn't
Oh,
see
it
it
didn't bother me at
as
all. I'm just saying
I didn't
if
see
I
it
had to
as
pinpoint one,
I didn't see it as an issue, and I didn't thought it was not natural or anything. Because usually when I see dialogue that bothers me and that don't feel natural, I will mark it down in my dislikes. So I
oh yeah,
think it
trust
was
me,
normal.
it didn't bother me, and it didn't feel unnatural. I'm just saying, like if there would be one thing you'd like nitpick from this at all, it would be that maybe they could have done a bit better of a job with it, but it was still great. It was still great,
Yeah,
nonetheless.
yeah, like yeah, that episode was well done. It was a great episode, and we speak a lot about the Shadow Realm because that's the biggest thing about this episode.
Yeah,
But we also get to learn a lot about about Helix and the way they work. And here again, they don't preach at you. They tell you you should try other way. Like it's not always the right way, and you should experiment different thing instead of just staying on your comfort zone. And here again, Courtney has wisdom when she speaks at Mr. Bones. And at first she snaps out because she's sure because of the camera. They are the ones behind the camera system and Pats. But they're like, no, we didn't plant cameras in your city. So that was in that this loose end or this theory we used to have saying Elix are the ones spying was in fact a lie. They were not the ones spying. And Mr. Bones' backstory is so sad and interesting at the same time. And the way they tell that lore and that backstory was great by showing you the effect of his powers. Amazing. I mean, not every show you,
yeah.
not every movie show you. They just tell you, but they took the time. He took off his glove. He showed what he was able to do. So it's just great. I want more media to show you what you can do instead of telling me. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
if I want to get told something, I would listen to podcasts and stuff instead of
Uh, or
watching.
rate. I don't know. Listen to like an audio book. Even
Yeah,
it's like that. I'll do a better job than this. It's like just show it, or like
yeah,
the same thing with plot holes. It's not hard to just make up like a quick like 15-second explanation in each scene to make sure there isn't a plot hole. But
yeah,
every film in the world has plot. They're always bound to have at least one in basically every film ever. So that's why,
yeah.
unless there's so many or so big of ones, I usually don't care. But still, like yeah, and again that is just
Mo-
the miss.
most most
It was a good
scenes
payoff. It was worth the wait. It was worth the wait with him.
most scenes in that episode were emotional, whether it's Corny speaking to Mr. Bones or Shade with
Yeah.
Pat or Shade with his past and Pat with his past. I think it was filled with emotion. It's like if someone asked me like what episode should I watch of Stargirl, I am like watch this one or watch the third one in season one where someone dies because of Stargirl, if you know what I mean. Without going too deep into spoiler because it's season
Mm-hmm.
one territory, if you know what I mean. Do you remember season one or not really?
Of what? Sorry.
Stargirl, remember in Stargirl season one, episode 3, someone dies because of Courtney?
Yeah, him.
Yeah, so
It's honestly it was a little dip. I was curious of what they might have done with him, but I guess there probably wasn't much. I mean, he didn't
yeah.
have much to his character, but yeah.
So what I'm saying here is like I would recommend either episode 8 right now or episode 3, the one I mentioned like where she basically kills someone by accident.
Oh yeah,
Because they represent the show well. You do mistake that mess up things,
yeah.
and
They do. They
yeah,
do. They really do. And again, Mr. Bones, the wait was worth it. And also, saying from I've seen a lot of black and white, films like either just like in the, the artistic style, choice or older films. So I can tell when it like really does a good job or a bad job. And now it wasn't like perfect because obviously like when you're doing a show like this, probably you're hired not the main thing. You don't really hire like directors or cinematographers whose their main thing is like focused on that. But I've seen many films that have done that, and I'm hard on them when they don't do too good of a job. But and this was the black and white look in cinematography in this was fucking it was very good, and they whoever did it, like, yeah, they did a good job. Like, I was very concerned, but since it's like a just a TV show with this type of budget it had, that it and experience, that they might not
yeah,
they might do a bad job with it. It might look pretty off with like the grading and stuff, but no, it they did a great job. So yeah, credits due there. But yeah.
yeah. And I think another very interesting message in that episode, and it's delivered by Courtney, and this also tells us how much she grown since season one, because season one Courtney would never convince people of stuff, but she basically says it's not by isolation that you protect people, it's by letting them work in harmony and learning, and this was her moment where like Bones and his assistant are like, yeah, we let the mutant being like hidden so they don't endanger people, and we isolate them because like that's the only way we see works. And here Courtney is basically saying no, it's wrong. And at the end she was right, because at the end she was the key to resolve Jenny and Todd issue, with Todd like becoming a monster, and Jenny making it worse. Like Courtney was the key there, and this is her wisdom and what she learned for all of these 3 seasons that make her convince people around. And this also hints at maybe in the future she will somewhat become a better leader, because she was able to convince Bones and the other one. So I do like that scene a lot, where they admit maybe she is right. Like the what they do after prove her right, basically. I think that was great writing, and it was clever because it shows how different Stargirl is from season one.
Yeah, I agree. And also, so what did you what did you think of like the last line Mr. Bones said? What do you think that more means?
I think it was a hint at season 4 plots with Elix, but since season 4 will never happen, we will never really know. But maybe like season 4, Elix would have gotten like some kind of character arc where maybe they go around the world, or they want to stop crimes, or maybe they want to create crimes. I really don't know, but
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think what they should do is, again, you can make like director's cuts of like films or episodes, or just like correct some choices. What they should do is they should just change the music from like a suspenseful music to a more calm music, like the other scenes before, so we know what it is, so it's like a
yeah.
good thing. Like he realized what she he took like what she said and realized like what like her thought process of how to like solve things, and also with a team, and was just like, yeah, maybe we should create our own, that'd be, and just ends it like that, and then we can just assume, okay, so yeah, he'll change his ways with how he does things. He'll probably go off and do his own thing and try to do that stuff. That I think, and that will be his like arc complete of like realizing like isolation doesn't solve anything. So I think that's all they should do. They should just literally just change the music there
Yeah,
after he said that last line, and it'll all be
yeah,
solved.
yeah. And I think another thing they planted the seed for season 4 is like the third relative of Jenny and Todd, and the Shade going with them to find that third relative. I was like, that's some kind of plot for season 4 again. But
Yeah, we're never gonna get to see the
yeah,
Sandman type.
it's so sad.
Uh,
it's,
yeah, I mean they have talked
it's
about
tragic.
characters before though that they never show in the episode. They just talk about in awards and never shown. So you
Yeah,
could just say that. But I mean, again, besides that part though, like again, you could also say that arc is now complete. Like
yeah,
Shade has completed his arc and learned some lessons stuff. Like again, they did the right in there. They completed his arc and is now helping out people and then and the brother and sister there or whatever help completed
yeah,
their arc there and yeah and now they're just off to do their own things just like Mr. Bones. So again, even though they set up like small notes, tiny notes in between those lines that are like set up for season 4, like yeah, I can see what the writers meant. Now they did do things so where it is fulfilling now though, fulfilling it without a
yeah,
season 4.
yeah,
So that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, because other seasons wouldn't do that. They would be too lazy. They're just like, let's put all our marbles into this. Oh fuck. Well, fuck you, fans. Just shut up. You're so ungrateful. You should have watched my show more. Then this wouldn't have happened. Go fuck yourselves. Hi. I'm the Days Gone fucking director. Hi. Ugh.
Best marketing tactic: trash your fans.
Yes. Oh no. Why didn't you play my Why didn't you play my game that was completely broken at launch and it's just some average at best zombie game with cheesy lines? So I'm gonna blame the fans on it. Fuck you. You should have pre-ordered my game without knowing the quality of it, and despite it being broken as hell, this is your fault, not my fault for not fixing all the glitches and making a good game. This is why my sequel isn't happening. Like, holy fuck. Anyway, so yeah, good job again. Give all these people working on season 3 here, get them jobs like with like big budget DC films.
Yeah,
They deserve it.
they
Roll
earned it
them in.
at that point. I do think they earned it because they proved themselves for 3 seasons. They can build something upon strong foundation. They're like, yeah, we get these good ideas, and these good ideas, if you give me the time, they flourish and they do something even better than what I first gave you. And it's not every writer that can do that. Sometimes can have the best foundation ever, but not being
Mm-hmm.
able to build upon it because
Oh yeah.
you don't know how. But these writers, they did prove themselves for me.
Oh yeah. Now, so for this episode, I'd probably give it. I usually just go by point fives, but maybe I would give it like a 9.8, just because again there are some things
Mm.
that I've seen done better and a lot of other things. But other than that, it would be like a 10. Like so, it's around a 9.8 or a 10 out of 10 for me this episode.
For
For
me, it's a
episode
10.
8.
For me, it's a 10.
Yeah,
I had
I'll
no
probably just
issue.
give. Yeah, I'll just round it out to a 10. Why not?
For me, I had no issue with this one, and it's a 10. And it's when I will rewatch the entire series, I will know for sure if I like the first episode more or this one. But this episode is top 5 best episode in the entire show so far, and
Hmm.
it was a blast. I
Yeah,
liked
honestly, I
it
think
so
this is one of the
much.
best discussions we've had on this Stargirl episode so far.
Yeah, and I think it's because we had a good episode to speak about. You know, we did speak about it for like what 20, 13 minutes, and we only praise stuff because it's only good stuff to say. You know, we
Yeah.
tried our best to find issues, but
Yeah.
we could not.
And what a change of pace. I'm like trying to find things that are good about a show. It's like, I mean, there was less filler in this episode. This episode I smiled once.
She Hulk.
Oh
The
god.
TSC.
Yeah. Also, god damn it, Speaking of making bad decisions, okay, so apparently Elon Musk said that he wants to put a paywall behind Twitter now. Oh,
You want his
you
money
are the
back.
dumbest. You are the dumbest motherfucker in the world with how to run a site. But yeah, and you are obvious. It's obvious that you tried to back out of the deal and then you couldn't. So now you're just trying to ruin the site and make as much money out of it. But I guess the silver lining is the site might die for good now, which is good because fuck Twitter. But
I'm having the time of my life. I watched the world burn and I'm like, that's life. That's reality.
yeah,
That's the world.
yeah, thank God. Also, there's already an alternative called Mastodon, which is gonna be the new Twitter, I guess, to people who want to get the fuck out of Elon Musk's hell. So, hey, I'll send you the link to it, I guess. But
I don't think I will go there because it will probably be filled with leftists.
oh, definitely, but definitely. However, if he puts a paywall behind Twitter, then it's gonna be the only type of Twitter alternative used. Although I would definitely recommend Letterbox, but it's mainly for films, but it's also just a great site.
Um, Anything else to add for episode 8 before we move on to episode
No, let's
9?
go to episode 9. Yeah, I will say though, first thing I'll say, I'm glad. I think you mentioned it before on like a stream when I on like a stream or something or, but yeah, got to learn more about Beth's goggles, which yeah, and her powers. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Finally got that out of the way now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was fulfilling. And yeah, so just to quickly mention there, but yeah, this is just as amazing or masterful for me as episode 8. Again, just honestly, again, besides that one thing where it's not even a flaw, it's just like I don't know what they're gonna do there. Like, are they even just are they just gonna like forget about it? And like maybe she'll like I don't know turn herself in or something. I don't know. Like or just she'll I don't know. I don't really know what's gonna happen. I mean many things could happen, but yeah. Otherwise, yeah, there's not really a flaw that I can think
Me,
about this episode.
I will sound annoying because that flaw, man, it's a trope flaw within my criticism of everything. Plot, armor, on Cameron. Rick has super strength. How Cameron can survive?
Well, I mean, you could say like maybe
No, that's giving
maybe
more.
her saying that made it so he didn't try to kill him because you could see like he wasn't trying to kill him. He was just being like stay down. So
He was
I don't think he was going. I don't think he was going for the kill. I think at the only point anybody tried going for the kill during this was I mean the her because she already killed somebody, but and then Cameron when he finally got him down and she was like finish him.
Yeah, I can understand that argument, but here's my counter argument. Remember Rick being power hungry because he lifted the limiter and he was kind of out of control. He was smashing walls in episode 7. He was breaking stuff. He was screaming at everyone and everything. Like it just feel off. I mean, yeah, probably didn't want to kill Cameron, but Cameron should be in really, really bad shape after all the hit he took. And all he has was a bit of blood on the lips and the nose. It's it bothered me, but I still enjoyed the crap out of this episode. This episode was amazing outside of that
Yeah.
that detail.
For me, it's another masterpiece. Probably like again, just again, and God, I don't know where the if they how much acting experience his grandparents have, but yeah, they in this episode they killed it. Maybe
They
I'll try to look
sold
up
it.
their IMDb and see if they have like had an old acting career or if they're just more new. But yeah,
So
this is great.
I liked the long opening scene with the grandparent and the teacher dying. I'm like, Okay, we are getting to stuff now. Courtney, man, as
Oh
usual, she's
yeah,
amazing.
and finding that drawing, like figure, yeah, that like that's what he was drawing.
Yeah,
Like that was.
that was great. And Pat and Barbara scene where Pat opened up about the backstory of him and his ex girlfriend and Mike mother. That was very interesting and endearing. You're like, he wanted the best for his son, and sadly, like, the mother of his son is not really the best example of motherhood. And here again, that shows us that these writers don't shy away to show bad parenting on both sides. Not only like men are bad fathers and all mothers are great. No, this show showed us both bad father, good father. This show showed us good mother with Barbara and bad mother with Mike mother. And I think it's amazing to see that because not only men can do wrong, women can also do wrong. And when your show is named Stargirl, it it's it's a show that should be empowering for women. So for the writer to not shy away from the reality is amazing. And yeah, it's just the beauty of this show. And I think it's Jeff Jones that made the show, and he is a man. So men are not shy to showcase bad side of both gender. And it's I think it's relevant and important for me to mention that because in 2022 everything is about gender. I mean, let's be honest. If She-Hulk had a full female writing room, it's because gender matter in 2022. If it was bad, it's because they have no balance. And I think Geoff Johns showing us the way it should be done, like I I think it's great, that aspect of it. And yeah, what did you think of the Pat and Barbara scene? Was it emotional for you as well? Because it was emotional for me.
Yeah, it was uh yeah, I'll be honest. Again, I've talked about before with Film Lucy. I've had a lot of experiences with things, and that was another one that was sort of similar. It was with somebody I was used to be with, so yeah, I kind of had some like uh some flashbacks there, honestly. But yeah, that was super well done. That was really emotional, and definitely the performance there. Like I was afraid that would be another sort of scene that just with like a basic like conclusion, or it that they don't, or that they don't really like push it too far, kind of like just mentions it, and she says something, or she says something more like just like, I don't want to hear it. You talked about it before. You need to like move on with it, and it's like, and then it later maybe is brought up like later, maybe in like episode 10, where then she's like, yeah, I've had some experiences with that too, and then just like, yeah, and then and not nothing really like well written or anything, like just pretty basic television scenes. But no, they just like the lab scene with Courtney and her, which I thought would be really poorly done. But then because it usually is in like other television shows, scenes like those, but it was just amazingly done because the writers are just fucking amazing with this.
Yeah,
They did a fantastic job. I really enjoyed that scene.
Yolanda and Courtney fixing up their relationship felt interesting. It felt good. It felt earned because it
Yeah.
was many episodes ago, and like we don't have a clear slate of how long Courtney left with Shade and Pat, but we could believe it's a few days, maybe 2 3 days. Like it's not that long, but it's long enough for people to move on and forgive and like try to fix what was broke. And remember, the conflict happened in episode 6, I think. Yeah, it was episode 6. So it's like 2 episodes. We let the conflict breed. We let characters have interaction with other character. So like we don't need to make it awkward between both characters. And time has passed for sure. Time has passed. Uh, the Mike Jakim scene was somewhat interesting, comic relief as usual. The Crocs. Okay. Sportmaster, man. The guy. The guy. Speaking to Pat. And telling Pat, you can trust me at that point. It felt real.
Hmm.
How did you feel about that?
Yeah, no, it did feel real. Felt definitely a lot more real than the other scenes. Feels like they're more. Again, he was like other Pat. Yeah, Pat. I think was like more like still a little less willing to like have some like certain let go of like a certain kind of
You
emotion when it comes to him and have some discussions, but with this one it felt very genuine. And again, I wanted to ask you though, like we made predictions like probably one of her parents will die at the end of the season if they do a season 4, and that will be like a conflict that starts in the big finale season of season 4 if
yeah.
another team, if it happens. Now that they won't, and they filmed a different ending for it. So do you still think one of them will die, or no? Do
No,
you think
not
they'll
anymore.
both live?
We don't have a
Okay.
fourth season anymore. So
Well,
I
I would love them to at least like tell us afterwards, like what the at the ending of this would have been if there was a season 4, if one of them would have died.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I think
maybe
what
they
will
will eventually.
I think what will happen, like any other CW show, usually when there's the DVD out, they keep the deleted scene. So maybe the alternate ending will be in deleted scene, and when the DVD
Yeah,
will
that's
be
true.
out,
Yeah,
they
like that happened in The Walking Dead. Like
yeah.
in the season 2 deleted scenes, there was a giant one they deleted. I don't know if you ever watched The Walking Dead. Did you?
I've heard about it a lot, and I will be honest, I don't think it's my cup of tea, but eventually I will cover it for sure. Uh,
Well, did you eventually watch season 1 though?
I,
At
I
least.
I never gave it a shot because, as I said,
Okay, I'll be honest. I'll talk about the quality quickly, but I will say just there was basically a conflict that happened in like in the first season with a certain group of characters that then gets resolved in season 1,
yeah,
and then they never hear from them again. But then in the deleted scenes on the DVD thing in season 2, they had a original scene planned in the first episode where they try going back to that place and they visit it and everybody there is murdered. Like all fucking 150 people are just murdered by somebody.
yeah,
Yeah, so that was a pretty giant deleted scene they got scrapped. So yeah, I'm definitely curious how big this deleted scene will be, since it was basically like a full episode ending, and
yeah,
like if they'll even release the full thing. But yeah, no. So with The Walking Dead, this was my opinion on it. Season 1 is great of The Walking Dead.
yeah,
It's by the guy. Again, the source material, the comics and everything are great of The Walking Dead. It's the same guy who did the Invincible comics, which are then adapted, and also the same writers and stuff of that. um and that's why Invincible is so good.
yeah,
But yeah, it's great. And so yeah, so season 1's great, and it's the director who did some of the films that are considered like some of the best of all time to a lot of people, like The Shawshank Redemption, which is #1 rated film of all time on IMDb apparently, and The Green Mile and The Mist. And yeah, it was great. Great characters, great pacing, great everything. They only needed 6 episodes, and they were well done. They weren't, just milking it dry with like fucking like 18 episodes like they do now every season, all right? But then what happened was So AMC is a horrible company who is money hungry. This was the first show that they actually owned the rights to. All the others they just helped produce and aired on their channel, like Breaking Bad and stuff. So
Yeah.
what they did the moment he turned into a success with season one, they lowered the cost of everything. They lowered the salary of all the actors. They lowered the cost for like makeup and zombies. So now it's like we barely see any zombies every episode. It's literally just like a shitty drama with characters like close up to the camera and just like talking with a bunch of filler that they try to turn it into something that means something but then never does, and it's just a bunch of characters that say something but then retract it the next episode. Just terrible writing and everything. And because and they spread it out to now like more than double the episodes, like 14 episodes in season 2. There's like only like one detailed zombie every episode until the finale, where then they burned the place down and had a bunch of zombies roaming around, and it was just like, but everybody, all the actors agreed to their horrible like criminal level cheap contracts, and they tried to make it work because because the director, gave all the actors such a boost in their career, and they believed in him. And then 2 days after they all agreed to it and did all that, they fired him. And after he said he would try to make it work, and then hired some hacks ever since to direct it. And now the other seasons though are still watchable because the actors like Stephen Young and everybody just throughout the board are still that good, and because the source material is still that good. But they turned it from a great and excellent show from season one to now just like a mediocre but still watchable zombie type drama with good acting here and there from the actors and some good source material and ideas here and there, and some big moments in certain episodes, but scattered throughout from like the seasons. So definitely a drop in quality, but it was still for the most part watchable enough from season 2 to like around season 6. But eventually there was a point, which was when this character came in called Negan, which you might have heard of, the guy with the baseball bat with the barbed wire. You might have seen like some images of him and stuff, or
Yeah.
know some stuff about him. But yeah, and then yeah, right around that time, yeah, then it died for good with the choices they made. It just then turned into a complete mess for good and just completely terrible. The only decent thing that's worth watching about the show now is literally just just Negan. That's it. Like, and now they're doing a film that's basically gonna completely write off like the two main characters, like Rick and stuff, for good. And then
Yeah.
they'll continue with it, and they've made tons of spin-offs on it again because they're so money hungry. They need to milk this shit dry. They made a bunch of terrible spin-offs that are just horribly made, and now they're doing another where it's like, oh my god, it's so stupid. Just, but yeah, I mean, if you ever give it the chance, go ahead. That definitely at least the first season, which is just excellent. But
Well, when
yeah,
I
oh
start
my
something, I
god.
finish it. So we'll finish it when I get to it.
Oh
But
yeah. Anyway, sorry. Anyway,
yeah,
so see,
let's
so
go back
episode
to the
episode
episode.
9,
Now
episode 9. Yeah.
we move to something very interesting where Courtney basically speak to the team, and she's like, "Can guys forgive me?" And they do forgive her, and then she's like, "I want to tell Cameron everything," and that was hands down my favorite scene with the the team, with the league, since the season started, because she learned from her mistake and she want to not make it again. She want to fix what she can fix with Cameron. She want to tell Cameron everything. And here we have like Rick on the fence as usual, because that's just Rick. But this time around, Yolanda has um, Courtney back, and this reflects a parallel between this moment and at the start of the season, where she was against Courtney to introduce like Cindy to the Jesse, uh, that was very interesting because that scene was meant to tell us Yolanda and Courtney are best friend again, and it took like almost the entire season to fix that relationship. and that kind of trust Yolanda has toward Courtney, and it felt good. It felt good because it was well handled by good writers, and now we have like Beth. She's like in between. She's not saying she's not saying no or yes. She's not quite sure. She's just asking Courtney, "Are you sure it's the right thing to do? Like, don't you think it will create another Cindy situation or stuff like that?" Like, Beth is has always been a very smart character, and her being not sure about it, I feel like she was like all the viewer should feel toward Courtney choice, and this was amazing because we had someone on Courtney's side for once, and we had someone against Courtney, which is Rick, and we had someone that is just a viewer wondering if it's the right or wrong thing. And I do think the viewer insert is much better than the writer insert because the viewer insert let you question what's going on right now. And the writer insert, it forces you into like thinking some ways. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean for sure. Yeah.
So I do think this meeting was amazing. And after that, Courtney wants
Oh
to
shit.
Courtney go at Cameron, and she wants to explain everything. They discover the grandparents are the one with the cameras. Oh my, shit are going down. Big fight, big
Yeah. I
action
mean,
piece.
I figured, but I figured that would be the reveal. They're the one with the cameras, but
That was amazing. You just have Courtney trying to tell the
oh yeah,
truth, and then just
chaos everywhere just because everything collides because Cameron is unstable, him with his powers, he's like overused and he's unstable, the parents are obviously that way, then she gets in that conflict, and then the others, and they were already kind of like 50-50 on everything, so it's just like it's just fucking everything, just shit hits the fan everywhere. It's like, and it actually makes sense. It's not just like it happening randomly. Everything they set up, it makes sense why just everything is just chaotic with every character.
yeah, and Rick
With
is just
nobody
going
with
all
nobody
out.
listening to like anyone. Yeah,
that,
Jesus.
that,
And it
that,
was great. It was great
that's
action
amazing.
choreography. And how do you make that good of action choreography with fucking two old people like that? By the way, mainly one guy there. Like, holy fuck. Ugh.
No, I think I don't that action piece with all of the Jesse and the grandparents and Cameron and Rick. It was amazing.
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at the fact that an old man had better action choreography and action scenes than She-Hulk did.
And the old woman as well. Bro, they were
Yeah.
running a wall
Uh,
and flipping. Like, you need to
did you
suspend
do that
disbelief.
video, by the way, on Jessica Jones versus She-Hulk?
Yeah, it's
Did you
out.
Oh, nice.
It,
Definitely
it's
link it to me.
it's been like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I will link it to you for sure. It's a 4 hour video,
Ah,
bro.
I'll definitely watch it. Hey, did you add any clips from the streams in it?
A lot. There's like maybe 50 minutes of content from our podcast and around half an hour Jessica Jones and a very long intro of like 5 minutes because I wanted to lay the ground. But yeah, the video is out and it's 4 hours. It's my longest video. I had a blast making it.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely
I
link
will
it to
link
me in
it.
DMs here.
I will link it for
Yeah,
sure. Once,
I'm gonna watch it after this when I have the
yeah,
time. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So,
uh,
bruh, it's. I also used as skit lots of other content creator, as I said. Like among these 4 hours, there's maybe like 5 minutes of other content creators, but considering its difference and its skits all over the place, like I think it's fine because it enters to fair use since I just made lots of the content myself.
yeah.
Like
I mean, honestly, what I would do instead is I would, unless they're like, unless the clips you want to use are just like funny moments that are while they're roasting the show with like valid reasons, and
Yeah,
it's like you can't replicate it. You just have to show the clips, and
yeah,
everybody
that's what
laughs
I
at it.
was doing.
It's like I would just like quote what they say and have like like an image on screen just in write and like quoting what they said instead, just so and saying who
And
said it, what
I
YouTuber, just so there's no issues with that.
I also linked all of the channels in the description below, and on top of that, I said a disclaimer about it. And I've also done that with my why Halo TV show was really bad,
Nice.
and like that was my first time
Because they
doing
didn't
it.
they didn't play the games. The end. You could just do a 2 second video.
Dude,
They didn't play the games.
dude, the
Done.
three parts lasted for like 5 hours or 6 hours. I can't remember.
Yeah,
The,
definitely make a good thumbnail for the Jessica Jones She-Hulk if you haven't yet, and make sure the title's really good, and make sure again the tags that in your YouTube video settings, make sure to just put everything and in the description as well at the very bottom.
yeah,
You copy and paste it at the very bottom of the description, so it picks up traction, because that video needs to pick up traction what you just described, because in
yeah.
4 hours, like, yeah, because that's just, yeah, that is awesome. But yeah, oh, I
But
can't wait to watch it. But yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Also, I do have a YouTube channel if you wanted to link
Yeah,
that.
I
But
will link it after. So send me the
yeah,
link.
also now that YouTube has to handle things, you can find it with the handle. But
That's
it's just
good.
the same as it's the same as my full name, which I use
Oh,
for Discord. Just no space again. Just, it's exactly that. You just put like you put the this here or
okay.
that, or now you just put like the there, because YouTube did that new handle thing. I have, both of them are the same.
Perfect. So, yeah. Man, let's go back to that fight scene. Yo, they have genius people behind the scene making that fight scene. I think that fight scene is I'm not quite sure if I prefer the grocery store or this one. This these two fight scene are the
Well,
best fight
I think
scene
the
in the
action
entire show.
choreography in the grocery store one was better done. I think that's better done, but I do think this one was a lot more fun.
Yeah, I think this one I like the chaos of what was going on, and I like the fact that it involved most of the cast that was able
Yeah.
to fight.
Yeah,
And
there were moments though that were just a little more basic, which, I mean, with how chaotic it was, it kind of had to be, but still, and especially the one with Cameron and him were pretty not as good. It was kind of more basic to an extent,
yeah,
but
I think entertainment value this one was my
but yes,
favorite.
entertainment wise, this is the best one. But
The
just
fight
just action choreography
and
and
the
quality
story,
alone, though.
the
Yeah,
story behind it was also a bit better in the grocery store, because in the grocery store it was Sylvester the villain, and it was both previous villain the good guys. Like they were not trying to kill him when he was clearly trying to kill them. And they were holding their own, and that was just great. The story behind the fight and even the fight
oh yeah,
choreography. So I do think they like entertainment value. As I said, the one we just got is hands down the best one, but story wise, the grocery store was the best one. I think they both have lots of things in their favor, and
yeah,
man, I think I see a
for sure.
pattern. Episode 3 we had a big fight. Episode 6 we had another big fight, and episode 9 we had another big fight.
Yeah,
So
so
my
episode
guess,
12 is probably going to be
yeah,
the biggest fight, and then episode 13 will be a
the ending.
conclusion of everything resolving.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, again, episode nine's fight definitely the most entertaining and everything, but yeah, just the grocery store fight. Honestly, only flaw would be that I wish it was longer. Honestly, because
yeah,
it
me
was so
too.
fucking amazing. I
Me
wish they
too.
did even more with it, and they're like the surroundings that they could have used. But otherwise, like, how do you make a fucking fight in a grocery store with just with
Three
just
people.
three characters with yeah, and it's like I've seen grocery store like action scenes in films, and even like Hot Fuzz, one of the ones in that one video I sent you, or like zombie film, like apocalyptic films, or everything. I've seen like many done well before, and like very creative and entertaining in
Yeah,
films, but just like a brawl in a grocery store like this that's with like with like two superheroes or something, and with the powers they have, it's like and you know the aisle they're in, it's like how do you make something that and entertain that good choreographed? Is like insane. It's insane. Like holy shit.
Artemis, bro. Artemis, the girl with the
Yeah.
mask, with the hockey pad.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the
Oh
Croc's
yes.
daughter coming in the house of the grandparent and just having her baseball bat and finding on side by side with bed. Oh no, that was golden. That was golden. And
Yep.
there was also a throwback for season 2. The nerd, the nerd.
Yep.
um, yeah, man, I think this episode for me was a 9.7, but that was the best 9.7 the entire show had because of that fight scene, and it was amazing. The cliffhanger, man, the cliffhanger with the kids just running
Yeah.
away from a monster,
Yeah.
man. Oh,
Yeah. And you know, I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm very, very happy with the arc they're taking Cameron on again. Like there's exactly what I wanted. You know, like start trying to like use his because it's like I can't paint anymore. My like it's over. I can't do like art anymore. But he can do his artistic expression with his powers and for good. And then it got chaotic. And like
yeah,
the other episode as predicted, and then going more and more like this, and then had this moment, but now
and
had this
and Rick
yeah
admitting he was wrong, saying I'm sorry. It was amazing.
yeah
I
yeah that's
I don't have much else to say.
good character progression there as well.
Yeah.
um,
What would be your
yeah
grade?
again, I only do point 0.5, so because of that I would have to say it's closer to a 10, so 10 out of 10. But if I were to do it your way, it would be like a honestly like a yeah, same as the last episode, 9.8. But yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. Well, I don't do the point things really when it comes to that. I would do like 98% out of 100% instead. But yeah,
So that season is just great. And as I
yeah,
said, after every episode I had my head spinning, and it's so sad because we only have 4 episodes remaining, 10, 11, 12, and 13. um it's sad because this show is a blast. um
yeah. Only 3 more episodes. Well,
well,
sorry,
4,
4.
10,
Damn,
11,
4.
12,
Damn, damn.
13. Yeah.
Yeah,
And after
yeah.
that, man, we will suffer through Titan season 4. It has started, by the way.
Oh,
We
oh, oh, fuck me.
we
Okay.
we keep it for after Stargirl because I don't know when will be the next comic book show. So this means we will
Yeah, if you want to do a okay, so we already did Superman and Lois. I mean, if you I'll get to Gotham eventually, but yeah, I mean, Titans season 1 to 3 I'll eventually watch, and then we can do
Oh,
Titans season 4,
you didn't
like
see
that.
season 1 to 3? I thought you had seen them even if they are bad.
Oh no, I started on it, but that's I didn't
Oh.
watch them. No, all I know is that I've seen enough where I'm just like, why is there 4 seasons of this and not Stargirl?
Yeah, yeah, me
And
too.
also
I'm
why
asking the
do they have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? Oh right, because it's Rotten Tomatoes, right? I
same.
answered my own question.
But that's why I
Holy fuck.
usually look at the audience, not the critics. I don't give a crap about the
Yeah,
critics.
yeah, it's fine. Titans I'll definitely get through quickly.
Yeah.
I'll
So
definitely fast forward some shit to get through anyway. God.
um,
So yeah,
I thought you had seen. Okay, so good luck watching the.
yep,
Okay,
yeah.
so
That's
now
what
that
we'll do
changed
for
the
one
plans.
topic. We'll just
That
just do season 1 through 3 as a topic, because
one,
I'll
two,
watch
three.
them in time,
Okay,
and I'll watch them in time, and I'll watch them quickly. I'll just
okay,
do that as a whole thing, just talking about the whole show.
okay, okay. That sounds good. One, two, three as the topic, and then uh, I don't know when this will get us to, but the season 4 is in going right now, and I believe they will do 13 episodes as usual. So they will probably take a break for Christmas, maybe. I don't know. Um, but yeah, whenever they take their break, like I don't know how we will cover season 4. Maybe we will do blocks of episode if we have enough blocks of episode. But yeah, we will probably end up doing blocks of episode when we cover Titan season 4.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
now
actually
when we
surprised.
do when I get to Titan season 1 and 3, yeah, hopefully
I will rewatch them because I have seen them
yeah.
only once a long time ago. And I will say this: it's getting better, but it remains mediocre at best. Gotham is
Uh,
much better, I
just
think.
it just seems bad. It just seems terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gotham is much better than Titans.
Yeah,
and
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 also
and the worst in that they used Deathstroke in one of the seasons of Titans, and the Deathstroke in that Titan is interesting, but Arrow did it better in 2013. How can you mess that one up 6 years later, 7 years later?
yeah, yeah. All I'll say though is the characters in Titans, for what I've seen so far. Yeah. All I'll say with that is this is exactly what I expected out of if you got a bunch of bad CW writers, and yeah, they tried to adapt something like this into a show.
It's
This
edgy.
this,
It's
this
edgy
is yeah.
CW.
Yes, they this is exactly what I would expect from it, for them to miss the main point of Titans, and this is what they would get out of it, and to also up the edgy, quick-witted style of it, like 10 notches, to try to make up for how bad everything else is, and then try to fool everybody into thinking it's good characters, good writing, and good fucking performances, because everybody likes those quick, witty, edgy fucking scenes, even though they're done poorly. And
The very
it's
long,
like
the very long
it's
scene
like
where
the
they
Kill
speak.
Bill scenes done poorly. Holy fuck!
Like when I watch a Stargirl exchange when people are speaking, they feel human, and what they speak about is about the episode, their backstory, what's going on, and it's good, it's entertaining, and it's handled by good writer. Sometimes when I watch Titans writer and when they make their characters speak, it feels a lot of the time irrelevant. You're like, why are they dragging this that long? Like, they say too much things that means nothing. It's sad. It's sad when you're trying too hard to be smart and mature. You end up failing at doing it. That encourages you, right?
Yeah. Uh, oh, I have a bottle of vodka right here. I haven't opened yet, so I'll definitely open
usually,
that when I walk through.
usually I'm caught up with comic book TV show when they comes up. Except if I don't watch them at all, like Pennyworth. I don't give a crap about Pennyworth. But like usually, like I used to be caught up to Titans, but right now I don't feel the need because they burnt me for 3 seasons. I was like, third season had such a great start, and it's freaking
Yeah.
true. The third season had one of the best start I've seen, but it went downhill fast, and it's sad because
Maybe that's why they gave it 100%, because they watched like the first bit of it, and then they're like, okay, that's enough for the review, because we all know these people. They're just like video game journalists. They don't actually play through the games or much of it. So, hey, that would make sense. Okay, I'm sorry. How does this fucking get? I guess it has to be budget reasons, because I look at the CGI in Titans, and also just
bad.
the locations they're in, and also just like what they do, and it's like it probably doesn't cost much to make. It's sort of like Gotham, but just like it really is sort of like Gotham, so it's probably is a lot cheaper to make. So that might be why it has 4 seasons, but still, like, fuck,
But
how does that
I
get
think
4? And
I think they got canceled, and that's funny because season 4 they will adapt Blood based on what I've heard, and Brother Blood was also in Arrow second season, and it was amazing. I think in the second season, it was the weakest villain out of the bunch, but it was still really good. So it's funny how I will watch this Brother Blood and I will be wondering, is it good enough? Like, is it better or worse than Arrow? I really hope it will be better Brother Blood, because I don't want to see another version of the character I've already seen, but a lesser version. I don't want that. I want a better version. Like, that's why I was so disappointed with Deathstroke. I was like, that Deathstroke in Arrow was amazing, and I get that lackluster, angry sword guy that don't speak. Okay, whatever. I had Deathstroke in Arrow build up for like 2 seasons. It was great, and I have like new Deathstroke, just Titan Deathstroke, just build up there, because why not? Because Batman villain. Oh my. Um, yeah, Stargirl, man, I will miss this show, and I'm looking forward to cover Titans with you to see what you have to say on your first watch. It will be my second watch, and I I I kind of like know it will be bad, but
Yeah.
it
Again,
will
I
be
got all this
entertaining.
cheap alcohol. I'm gonna open up while watching it because that's the only way I'm gonna get through it. Um,
Man,
maybe if I'm lucky, I'll have a heart attack before I finish it. But yeah. Okay.
thank you a lot, man, for coming. Anything else you'd like to add, or any
Hope
closing
that's good. But
thoughts?
then this was a great like 3 hour episode of the podcast. Shit.
Yeah, man, I liked it a lot. Like, we spent almost an hour on Stargirl, because Stargirl is just such a driving force, and like,
Yeah.
I think Stargirl is an example of what a comic book TV show should be, because sometimes, yes, you need to suspend disbelief, and it's normal, but it's a comic book adapted in live action by good writer. So that's why we speak so much about it, because I like to be honest, and I'm not like the anti-woke, because the anti-woke, like, I've seen a pattern, and I've seen a lot of the counter argument to anti-woke. I don't know if you know Actual Fandom. It's a YouTuber. It's quite a small YouTuber, but he is basically debunking a lot of things the anti-woke are doing, and I've been enjoying a lot actual fandom essays. Like, sometimes I disagree with the guy, but sometimes I do agree with some things he says. And I feel like sometimes he's somewhat of an hypocrite, because he said they're not really genuine, and it's partly true. But he's also not really genuine, because he does the same thing to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, uh, he brings some interesting point, but sometimes he contradicts himself. Anyway, um, so yeah, I don't want to turn like one of these anti woke crowds, but I don't want to praise bad content. So if I can praise something, I will praise something. And the pattern I've seen with them, yes, they praise House of the Dragon, because it's a better version than Rings of Power, but I've never really seen them like covering good shows like Stargirl past season one, because they realized it didn't brought that many clicks, because they're not eight watching it, and because people don't really want to see eight watch Stargirl, because people that are watching Stargirl like Stargirl. So that's why they didn't cover season 2 or 3. That's why they never cover DC side, because they know right now on DC side Stargirl is a blast. So they try to stay away from that, but they won't hesitate
Yeah.
to say,
I mean, all I'll say really is just that people aren't giving this a chance because, again, the CW has a bad reputation and for
yeah,
good reason, and
yeah,
people are tired of just taking superhero properties and then like making these weird ass grounded like teen school like drama fucking shows out of it. It's like that Gotham Knights, and it's
yeah,
just like holy fuck how it looks. All right, but but then they write all of them off as that. It's like, well, you could say it with most of them, sure, but there are a few that are, or at least a couple that are worth watching. It's like I think they did it here, which is a disservice, but also because it actually, makes sense for this to be the case with Stargirl. It actually makes loads of sense. It's like that's basically
and
accurate to everything. Like that's how what they created. Like,
and you really, when you really take a look to Stargirl, like season one didn't add that many high school drama aspect of it. It was barely there. It was partly there to like introduce the characters. That was the main point of it, but it didn't took over any of the important storyline. And season two, we had more school stuff, but even there, season two was around Eclipso, and season three, we barely have high school drama. Like, how many scenes did we really get in the cafeteria in the third season? Like, we can count them on the fingers of one hand, I think, in the cafeteria. And like the outside of the cafeteria, I remember like the lab scene with Courtney and Cindy, which was a great scene that really like placed a lot of the story aspect to the lights, and that was a great scene. I mean, it was a needed scene. Like, it brought the best of Cindy and Courtney together. I mean, so when we have bits of the high school drama in Stargirl, it's not boring. It's not bad. It means something to the bigger story. They are smart with what they are doing with the high school drama.
mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, but it actually makes sense for Stargirl to be like this. It's like it's pretty much comic book accurate. Like this is,
yeah.
or well, not like you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's not like fucking. It's not like how do I say what's the one again that they made? Yeah, like Gotham nice, like what they're doing. Like to an extent, it's like sure that's like some of it is like about that, but it's like what the fuck are you doing? I don't get it. It's like I swear to God, CW is gonna make a show where it's like, hey guys, Superman is dead, and this guy killed him, and then everybody looks and it's like a toddler with a gun, and then the show's about him, during with 90% of the show him like in daycare.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like that's the CW way.
Yeah.
But anyway, they write off every show, but it's like no, this gives some a chance like this. And Flash had moments. Flash did have some moments, but
Season one
for the
and two
most,
were great, but after that
yes,
it went downhill
it,
fast.
it like yeah. But even later on, there were some other seasons also in between that were all right. It's like there. I wouldn't say the Flash is a bad show. I would just say it's below average, but I would say it's watchable, and there were some good moments in it. Like I wouldn't say like every CW show is just it should be
Yeah.
written off as terrible. It's just me personally. I'm
But
what this just the type of format they do
yeah.
with like grounded shows like this in this way with superheroes is definitely not my cup of tea. But as
Yeah.
long as you do it right, which Stargirl has, then it's fine.
Yeah.
That's all.
And since we speak about the Flash, season 9, the last season, we will cover that for sure in the future. So when
Oh
they
yeah.
start like releasing the videos, I suggest you to watch some recaps, and like 1 week before the show comes back, we could dedicate a part of the stream to just set our expectation for season 9, because it's the last
Hmm.
one, and it's the end of the Arrowverse, technically speaking. So we could like base our expectation on that. And I know I've followed more than you the Arrowverse, but I'm sure you have seen at least 1 or 2 seasons of Arrow, and I'm sure you probably have seen like at least 3 seasons of The Flash.
Hmm.
So you probably still have a bit of expectation, or a bit of things you'd like to see, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you think, just last question, do you think they're going to use this Stargirl actress in the future for anything? Or
I will
is
be
this it?
honest. I do think she will come back, because We have heard there she has a cameo in either Doom Patrol or Titan or both. They didn't release anything yet official saying she will be
But
on this or that.
do you think any of these characters will make it to the big screen as at
Um,
least like supporting characters
they will
or minor
recast.
characters?
They,
Yeah.
they will recast all of the supporting characters, but I do think because Breck did a great job, they may consider her for a reboot. I I really don't know. We will see. I
Yeah, well,
hope
I mean, at her age, the age of the actress now would like follow suit with like them wanting probably an older version now as well if she ends up there. So
yeah, and she's still quite young right now. I think she's like 23 or 22. I'm not quite sure of her exact age, but
yeah,
uh,
by the time they make it to the big she'll probably be like old enough as well, where but
yeah,
still young enough where that fits perfectly. So
yeah, and she's kind of small, I think, or it's the way they shoot the camera, so it's still believable. She could be a teenager, and with makeup and haircut and stuff. I think there's a way they could keep her around. I really hope they will because I think she is the perfect cast. Like uh, in Smallville, they had their own Stargirl, and sometimes Smallville Stargirl was fine, but she felt empty. Either it was the writing of the character or the actress. I don't know what was wrong with that Stargirl in Smallville, but like the current Stargirl is just much better. She fills the role well. She's well written.
hmm
She is able to pull this off and make me believe into the character because she interpreted the role very well.
hmm
If she wasn't good in the role, I would not like that show that much, and
yeah.
it's it's one of the few cases where I'm sure of the lead actress, like with Batwoman. When it was Ruby Rose, it was godly awful. When it was
Oh, that never happened. That never happened.
with Jephicia Leslie, I was kind of fine with Jephicia Leslie, but she still felt off somewhere, and I'm sure it's the writing fault and not the actress. And when I look back to Supergirl, like she was just doing what she was told, but she didn't felt really Supergirl for me. Like she was good in the role, but she didn't felt as much Supergirl as the one in Smallville, or she didn't body the role as much as Breck in Courtney, And I think they casted well Breck, and like when I think about other good casting, it would be like Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel. Even if the show was bad, the actress was doing a good job. And yeah, I think maybe Break will come back in the future. Maybe they will keep Luke around, the actor that plays Pat, but I really don't know. Like maybe it will be a bit too expensive. I really don't know. I really hope they reuse them. Like maybe just maybe or cameo in whatever Doom Patrol or the other one, Titans. Maybe her cameo
Yeah.
will help her out, making her way toward other future projects after. I
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
I hope so. I hope so.
Anyway, I have to go now, but
Yeah, thank you very much for coming again. I had a
yeah,
blast this
sorry
week.
that last night again in the week before, but yeah.
That's good. We were able to do it, so that's fine. Anyway, man, I hope everyone watching liked, comment, and subscribe once the playback is out there. I will
Yeah.
also link.
Oh, also, I will say one thing actually. With The Walking Dead, also when you get to it, so there'll be a character called Daryl, all right,
Yeah,
and he'll have like a crossbow and stuff. Yeah, you're gonna, you might die from a heart attack from watching how much plot armor he has. He is one. His character is literally nothing but plot armor. Him and Harley Quinn are like the two biggest plot armor characters in history. But have fun with that. Anyway, continue.
Anyway, thank you very much. I'm having a blast every week with you. You're a great co-host, and as I said, I will link your channel in the description below. And as I said in the past, if you start your own podcast, let me know. With that being said,
Oh, for sure. I've always thought about it, that or at least doing solo reviews, which then, inviting,
yeah,
special guests on for them, but we'll see.
yeah. Anyway, I hope everyone have a great day and take care, Cole.